So, Par Vision, welcome in.
Thank you. Came in with my aura.
Yeah, you came with that glow again. So, chapter 1140, Scopper
Yeah.
Gabon. That is what it's titled. We see Ulti and Page 1. Sorry, not Page 1. Ulti and Who's Who in the cover page. How do you feel now?
Well, first, you didn't put enough emphasis on the Gyaban.
Gabon?
Yeah, you gotta put the ya in there. I gotta hear the yasan in there.
It's okay. People can infer it. They can read in between the lines. Read in between the letters.
It's just crazy how we've been like, what's it called? Like, is it like revert? It's like pseudo Mandela affected by Funimation Viz translations. They just dropped the ya this entire time for Scopper Gabon versus in Japan and in the anime too. It's pronounced Gyaban, I guess. And
but also like in the anime, like they didn't put the Y in there, and then TCB did it for a while, then they stopped, and then they brought it back. It's like, and then Viz is very wonky when it comes to that too. Like, you know what? If the Y's there, cool. If it's not, it's fair. Like we all kind of know how to pronounce it for the most part. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
we get close enough.
It's just one of those things where it's like it felt like it, like to all the translators, like surely this doesn't matter. And then he shows up, and that's his nickname. like that's his entire pseudonym on an island, and we go by it. And so if you went with, I mean, obviously he looked like him too. If you are a reader who doesn't need refreshers in the first place, then when you see him, you're like, oh, okay, like that looks like Scopper Gabon. But if you weren't, then like the ya might have helped, you know what I mean? So, but it's also another one of those things that's just nice. Like, it's just funny
but to be fair, like I think 5 minutes after you meet Scopper or Yasan, they're like, by the way, this is Scopper Gabon.
At the end of the chapter, yeah.
So,
at least the Straw Hats don't know, but
it is revealed that Ulti was the silhouetted character from last week.
Yeah,
and Page 1 is here somewhere. Dude, a lot of people agreed with you. They're like, I don't see the Beast Pirates, or I don't see Ulti in Page 1. I was like, no way, guys, come on.
Hold on. No. That's rude. I didn't disagree with it. As soon as once you said it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, fair. It's just, I saw the top comment. It was like, I agree with Par. I don't see anybody.
All right. See, well, like, I'm not saying that they're wrong. They just agree with they agree with not realizing. It's okay to not realize things.
It's okay. I'm just saying, like, I just wanted to rub it in your face.
Versus
rub Ulti's ass up there.
Versus originally, it's not like you were like Ulti Page 1. I was like, absolutely not. These silhouettes.
No, we had a whole thing where you fought back for 15 minutes.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. I had to cut it out. Yeah, people didn't see it. I had to cut it out. Par was like, it's not Ulti Page 1. I think you said somebody else. You said Gaimon and Sarfunkel, and I was like, no way, Par.
Even if you stitch,
I had to cut it out, dude.
What was left?
Your psychopathic rant.
You see me sadly realizing like, oh wait, like I didn't see this, like in my reaction, like, oh yeah, that does make sense, like the hat and stuff.
That part is in there, but that's just AI. So, you know what's funny about this cover page is the fact that she is up on a dartboard, right? And you gotta imagine where we were at last week. Last week she was on her knees. So that must mean that Yamato and the gang were watching as they wheeled in a dartboard, tied up Ulti, and threw, 6 swords at her? It's like, okay, at what point do we stop this? Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
like, if they wanted to save Ulti, they would have done it like before this happened.
I also thought it was crazy that they took off her shoes. I was like, dude, why did they do that too? Like, what was the point of like taking your shoes off? Also, no, I don't know why.
You know why?
I don't want to know why. Oh, who's not like that? Come on.
You know that a lot of people have foot fetishes, right? Not even like a foot fetish, but they like feet.
Yeah, I know why Oda would do it, but I'm wondering why who did it.
He might be part of the majority. I mean, is something wrong about that?
I see. So then they watch them take off just the shoes, tie her up, and then 6 blades in, and like
you don't even have to like do anything with the feet. You just gotta like look at it, right? For a second, you're like, oh, that's some good feet.
This stream, I imagine page 1 is like on the side, like, no, eat shoe, no, not our shoes, those are money makers, like, not our OnlyFans. Like, but as far as like the waiting and Yamato, like people are like, oh, or was I saying it? I forget. Oh no, I think I was saying like maybe he's interrogating her or something like that, and he's trying to get questions. I was like, so maybe like Yamato's like, interested in the questions or like the answers.
No, Yamato's like Luffy in a way, you know. Like Yamato would not be like, let's wait this out, guys. Like Yamato's not a planner, bro.
But also, like, do you think who's who is interrogating, or like what, or is this just fun?
I think this is just fun.
Yeah, that's where it's interesting, because it's like they're rebels, but like also rebels in what capacity? Like what were they doing to be rebelling against who's who? Because like what who's who allegedly is stealing women from the thing. Like we're tying that together at least at this moment, right? And so if he's behind that, and I guess stealing swords, important swords to, I guess, throw at Alti. Like, I'm assuming these are also just the stolen swords. Like unless the whole, like the Yamato stealing Yasuo is just a one of one. Like they don't normally do that, and just happened to lead Yamato all the way there with the one of one sword that they stole. But all of that, I was just like, you know, what is this situation? Is he just it seems like just having fun, but then I don't know, it's like
I think he's just having a blast, bro. Like he's licking his lips, you see that?
Do you think
he's having a hell of a time?
He could be licking his I think he was licking his lips against Jinbei too. Like it's
because he thought about fish. Cats love fish.
Yeah, cat, you're right, dude. Cats love
fish, and they also love feet.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, why? I never thought about the Jinbei fight like that. Jinbei was like prey.
Yeah. He thought about like just chopping Jinbei up after the fight. Like he thought about a good meal after that. Some good old fish sticks.
Wild. That's wild. But
yeah. I was about to say, like with ulti though, isn't it weird that we also don't see page 1 yet? Like I can only imagine come next week we're gonna see like the other half of who's who's face, and page 1's on the other side like drowning, or I don't know, about to get guillotined in an Iron Maiden. I guess if we're going with games, he could be like some billiards maybe, but they're all bombs.
They're probably, if there's an interrogation, they're interrogating page 1 by like threatening Alti's life. They probably figured they could break page 1 before Alti.
Yeah,
I guess. Whereas like Alti, Alti would wait. They should flip it. Alti would wait. Who do you think would fold first? I think
page
Alti
1
would fold. Really? Yeah. Wait. Page 1 is gonna fold before on Alti being tortured. Before, if page 1 was on this board.
Okay, so you're looking at two different outcomes. Page 1 would fold immediately due to torture. Or not immediately, but like faster than Ulti. But in terms of, hey, I'm holding this person hostage, then Ulti would fold first. If that makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah, because that's like two different scenarios.
Yeah. I'm saying like both of them are watching the other being held like and tortured.
Ulti
and so
would fold.
they are Ulti would fold.
Yes. But page 1 would fold if it was just the torture.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So that's where it's like, yeah.
I mean, even with this dialogue, right? Like, hey, like if you hurt page 1, I'll beat you to hell and back. Like she's very upset that page 1's being held.
Yeah. So do you think page 1 is just on a similar dartboard and Oda just showed Alti for like the fan service?
Would it not be fan service if page 1 was up here?
Not maybe for you. I don't know about.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, it's not exactly fan servicey, is it?
The shoes. You said it. That was your pull. I didn't realize.
I mean, like the rest of it isn't like fan servicey. It's just Ulti's being tortured. I mean, Ulti's going through like the worst moments of her life right now, and you're over here laughing at her and sexualizing her, Par. That's kind of crazy. Do you do this with all women in your life? Oh my god. Oh, I heard you got abused. Isn't that sexy? Classic Par Vision take. I don't know, man.
I didn't bring up any of these words. You contextualize it like that. That's crazy.
The way I can twist words. Oh my god, I'm like a wordsmith.
Yeah. But also, I will say I thought this was a spinning. I thought because like if it was a spinning one, I'd also think that it would be more for fun because that's more fun. You know what I mean? Like if it was, but it's not a spinning.
Yeah, but
one.
That'd be too much like a carnival though, right? That's like Buggy's shtick.
Yeah, but fun is his shtick, right? Or not his shtick, but if it's for fun and torture, if the dartboard is just stationary, you're just terrible. You know what I mean? But if it's spinning, like, at least you
gotta imagine. Who's Who and the rest of the Toby Europa, they're based off of card games, you know, so they got to play a game. So it's like a dartboard, right? That's why I said page one might be like one is also in a thing of billiards. The spinning thing is more like a carnival thing.
Yeah.
Like think about a bar. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a game, but like think about a bar, right? You go to a bar, you'll see this, you'll see people playing cards like the Toby Ropo, but you don't see like a spinning wheel.
True. You're right. No, yeah.
Go spinning wheel is more like a carnival.
Pool club, and you that's a good point. I like that. That's good. But yeah, what do you think is because like obviously the funny part is Yamato's just been sitting there watching this. Like what is the next step for Yamato?
I think Yamato is definitely gonna save Ulti in page one. Like there's no way Yamato would just watch them die.
I don't think die. It's just funny though. like because I'm imagining the anime scene, right? Like imagine this being put into like sequential time scene, you know what I mean? And like for like 5-10 minutes or whatever, you just like, wait, where's Yamato? Wait, they were, None of them? No one's helping? Like you're just watching this go on, and like in the anime, you couldn't even do a cutaway scene where Yamato and them are spectating, because that'd be weird. Because it would almost make more sense for like Yamato and Tama to like fall down the window and be like, oh shit, we gotta get back.
It could just be comedic, right? Like maybe they see Ulti in page one and they're like, oh no, and then they see a wheel come out, they're like, no, and then they just keep on screaming while they put Ulti on the thing. It could just be like little goofy, you know? Which I gotta ask now. So, did you try to find some meaning within the numbers that Who's Who landed on this this board?
Absolutely not. I did not take the time to do that. I'm working on some other stuff. So, enlighten me, Sai. I'm not much of a gambler either, or a person who frequents a bar. So, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I try to add up these numbers every which way. Like the one that's in between 12 and 5, I did 12 and 5. I did one or the other. And, you know, I put the doubles, the multipliers in here, and I added all of these numbers up in, I think, 10 different ways. And let me tell you, Par, I correlated those numbers to chapters in One Piece, and I turned up with absolutely nothing.
So like, wait. So you did so if it's 12 and 5, did you do chapter 125 or you did chapter 17?
I did chapter 17, but I also did 125. Like I split it from right to left too, to try and like do to get into the thousands and stuff. But nothing really worked.
Because
I mean,
right now
it came up with chapters, but like the chapters had nothing to do with the chapter of this week, if that makes sense. It's just random numbers right now. Maybe, you know, we'll look back at this later and then it does correlate, but right now it just seems like gobbledygook. Because if you just add them up, you end up in Drum Island and or just around like Little Garden-ish. So
Little Garden seems kind of important. Drum Island has some stuff too.
It does, but like that's the thing though, right? Like you could just add those up and you're like, okay, it could mean something, but like right now in the context, no. So I'm not gonna like go out of my way and like do something.
184 is Crocodile, not reveal, but I think it's when he starts fighting.
Maybe, interesting. Just a lot of random numbers. And if page one's on another board like this, then we could get more numbers too, but it could just be kind of random.
What number would the one at like Ulti's hip? What number would that? Is that just 19?
That's 19, yeah.
What? Okay.
19, it looks like no multiplier, but you could also do a multiplier. Give it a good old, 38?
Okay, so 19, and then the second row the first row from the middle is 2x, or 2x, and then is that how it works? Or is it the red that makes it 2x?
The thin ones are 2x. The thin lines are 2x.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Dang. We should play darts.
I've seen a lot of people like I saw one person actually come up with a good theory about the numbers, but I haven't seen it quite yet. Yeah, I didn't look too deep into it.
What's the theory?
Oh, I didn't read it yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, you said it's a... What? You said...
Yeah, it's a good
theory.
I mean, the guy put in work.
Trash. Theory side doesn't read. Good theory. That's crazy.
The best theory you had that I can recall right now is the fact that this wasn't ulti last week. But...
Wow.
Yeah, we gotta throw that one in the trash.
Do you guys see how Sai handles you guys with gloves? Like, you guys, he coddles you guys in the comment section. The way he handles you guys versus how he handles real people. Oh man,
I don't know what Par's talking about. Oh, look at this. If you look at the background, if you look to the left of ulti, you see that part of the ceiling or wall is broken. You see that? Isn't that crazy?
That's like when a girl walks into the gym. Oh, this ceiling is nice. Like how the floors are.
Whoa! This is a key distinction, Par. What if? I mean, we talked about this. We talked about this a couple days ago. But what if the Holy Knights are here? The ceiling cracked because of the black lightning.
They love breaking ceilings, dude. They like raising that roof. They like the skylight. They are the celestial dragons. They like it when you look up.
They descend from the heavens, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be funny if all the celestial dragons had, or all the holy knights had Boa's gimmick where she leans so far back, you know, and like everyone has to. Oh, I forget what she has to like. She will never look down because she. What is her thing? What does she say again? She doesn't do it anymore, or she hasn't done it recently.
I think she looks down on people so much that her head ends up going high up.
Yeah. That would be hilarious if the Celestial Dragon had some kind of version of that. Where they're just like, I don't know.
That'd be cool. Maybe that's where Boa got it from.
Yeah, or no, their effect is like their Conqueror's Haki makes everyone bend over backwards so that they look so far up that they're looking backwards down. Because that's how high up the Celestial Dragons are.
Ooh, it could be like Kuroko no Basket, where like have you watched Kuroko no Basket?
Yeah.
It's like a Kashi where like he gets them on their knees. What if the Conqueror's Haki doesn't make you pass out, but their Conqueror's Haki makes you fall to your knees and bow to them?
His was even funnier because it wasn't Conqueror's Haki. I mean, actually, when he was like in the zone, I guess it was, but like it was, he would break people's ankles so hard.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, and then just like connect four of them into on the knees. It's just so funny.
Yeah, because at first he was like, anybody can break ankles and make them fall, but when I break ankles, they kneel. It's like, whoa, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Very realistic basketball. I love it.
It gave him a way to like level up, because then when he got into the zone, it's like, oh, what else can he do? And then it's just an automatic passive kind of thing where he just like exists, and then everyone just like listens to him or whatever. But yeah, pretty crazy.
Imagine if basketball was actually like that, dude.
It is. What do you mean?
If it was actually like Kuroko no Basket, I feel like, I mean, people already watch basketball, but even more people would tune in. Like, dude, imagine somebody shooting 3-pointers from the start.
No, they are that's the meta right now in basketball. I literally
but
watch
like 100% accuracy, literally passed in, just shoot a 3-pointer from across the court. I mean, 100% accuracy. No, that's not happening. And then he has a high arc to where it hits the ceiling. No, that doesn't happen.
I think I just watched a clip of like LeBron. He was passing the ball and the pass accidentally made it into the hoop. I'm like, this shit's just not real anymore. They just have aimbot. Like, it's crazy. If they need, I think they need to watch. I think they all did. I think Steph Curry probably watched Kuroko. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think real life is like Kuroko no Basket yet, until we get people passing to each other midair, like while they're while they're in shooting motion just for the very end.
Yeah, no, that there was actually people were commenting it like, this is just Kuroko. I forget what the player is. The guy he got traded to the Lakers. But he literally he like did some shit. He made it look like he's about to shoot and just tossed it behind his back to LeBron, and everyone's like, "Wait, what?" And then like, because it just made no sense that he would shoot from there. But he could have made it too, but he just did the most like not unnecessary, but like it was kind of sick. It literally looked like just like it was like, wait, where did his hand go? Where did the ball go? And then the camera angle also, the ball was kind of invisible because like LeBron is like right here, and so the ball's path was like behind his silhouette, so you couldn't even see it. And then you just see LeBron putting it up, and then it was just wild. It's like it's getting close. I think Japan. It's like Blue Lock, right? Remember when Blue Lock was coming out, and it was the World Cup, and then the Japan team was like following Blue Lock. Japan just has mangakas that just see the future. That's what it is.
Yeah, I need to see like a Captain Tsubasa feat where a guy hops on the ball, kicks it, and then he just rides it across the field. Until that happens, I don't believe in it. But
no, my favorite. No, I need to see the two kick. That's the soccer anime's favorite thing was when the two players come together, the power of friendship, and kick the ball at the same time, and that somehow makes it better. Like it doesn't make it better. Neither of them could ever get any leverage on the ball if they're sharing the ball. It doesn't make sense.
You don't know
unless they're kicking one person's foot. That's what they should do. Oh my god, they should have the first player kick it, and then the other player come up like Goku in the Gohan moment from behind, you know what I mean? And the other foot caresses the other foot in. That would make a little bit more sense, but you know, it's always the both feet make it onto the ball at the same time. That doesn't make sense.
I don't know what anime it is, but I saw an anime where this kid was playing golf and he was like bleeding from the head, and he like was barely able to get back up, and then he was like, "Oh, one more," and then he hits the ball, and then it's like and like fire came out behind it, and then it landed in a hole-in-one fashion. It was crazy.
I am embarrassed to say I don't know a golf anime. I feel like I've never even come across it. That's crazy. Because that would make sense that there is one. That's such an anime, like we have so many other like Yaomushi Pedal exists.
Oh, it was called Rising Impact.
That's dope.
Yeah,
so silly.
I haven't watched. I just saw a clip where the kid's like bleeding profusely, barely able to stand up, and I was like, "What the hell happened in this golf match?"
Do they have?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Terrible sub-dub Tiger Woods in there acting like the American legend.
I don't
who's
think
speaking
so.
like terrible English, but it's just a Japanese guy speaking English. I love when they do that.
That's. Love sports anime, man. Very, very realistic.
Yeah.
So now that the Yamato cover page story is getting more amped up, are you enjoying it? Are you having fun with this?
Oh yeah. It's definitely a good time. It's just a question of like, it's always a what's next, but also more so in this scope of like, why is this next? You know what I mean? Like, it's. Not that it like, again, comparing whatever, but like in the German cover story, it's like all the parties that we were contemplating, whether it be Blackbeard, even as a theory, Blackbeard, Germa, and Big Mom. Those are three like insanely worldly influential entities. It's like, yeah, what happened to Germa? What's gonna happen with Big Mom? Like the rest of the crew, are we gonna find out what happened to Smoothie and the rest of them? Whatever, which we didn't. But then, oh, and then Mads and all that stuff. In this one, because it's Wano-centric, it's all centralized around Yamato, which is fine. At the end of the day, I guess what we're contemplating is like who ends up joining Yamato's like crew, and it seems telegraphed, I guess. So then the question becomes like, well, why is Oda doing these like set of events? Is it more meaningful? Do we get more like another frame? I guess I like looking at like Odin's path. Is that Odin was like a Joy Boy like character, or maybe a microcosm. Maybe the events of Wano can be seen as a microcosm for like another way to view the paralleled events of what happens to Luffy, Joy Boy, and Nika Oda might have written it out in a small way on Wano, and we're just going to see an amplified version that Luffy gets with other characters when it comes to like the betrayal, the clone fruit, like those kinds of things, the Shogun, how the Celestial Dragon, you know, all those parts existed in Wano. And maybe Oda gives us like a little bit more through the Yamato version too. It's in general, that's a cool way to like foreshadow things without like being so obvious, and he's doing it in a way that doesn't take away, like it doesn't waste time because it's in a cover story, right? So it's kind of cool. And then, you know, obviously by the end of it, we hopefully will find out how Yamato ends up connecting back to us, in the sense of like in what manner. Like, is she going to be with Momo, or is she going to sail on her own, or is she just going to stay on Wano? Is there something that she needs to do on Wano? And then like that might tell us that Luffy and the gang, or some part of their fleet or something, has to separately come to Wano. Or maybe Blackbeard shows up. Like, those are all the things. It's like, why, what's next, and why is it next, right? What is Oda trying to do with all that? So that's exciting. I think, the way we left Blackbeard, right? It's still like Caribou and them could end up here, because Caribou is going to Hachinosu, knows the ancient weapons. This is the last one, or the recent one. So like there's that plot point, right, where it's like Blackbeard could show up still, like somehow. Like
and Hachinosu isn't super far.
Yeah. So who knows? It, like, that's what's also cool about like all this stuff. It's like it seems so random too. I think that like, especially when we got the development cover stories, it was like, whoa, that's crazy, you know. And that's always fun. Like, even the Who's Who reveal, when we saw how the silly house, it was like, oh, that was a good development, you know what I mean? But it also like expedited it, and so like next one, it could just be like two people show up on Elbaf. Who are they? A silhouette, and then it's like Blackbeard ? You know, so Oda could do anything. It's exciting, definitely exciting.
Oh yeah, and with Yamato too, it's interesting because I'm kind of in agreement that Yamato might get her own crew. It could be Ulti, Page One, and whoever else we pick up here in Wano. But we got to remember that Yamato also has a free pass onto the Straw Hats too. Like, Luffy offered a spot and said, hey, if you ever want us, like, Luffy actually said he would go and pick them up personally. Like, it wasn't just like a, hey, come to us. It was like, hey, like, we will get you. So I was like, like, which we've never seen, like, Luffy backtrack before. So I can't imagine that. Like, if Yamato calls him up, which I don't even know how that's going to work, right? We don't have, like, a Denden Mushi connected to Wano. But, like, if Yamato wanted to join, like, would we actually say, hey, guys, sorry, after the banquet, after freeing Loki, we're going to go pick up Yamato? Like, that's not possible. So that's why, like, I think, you know, me, you, and a lot of other people, we kind of agree that Yamato's going to go on her own. But there is still that road open, though. Like, it's not like a 0% chance. It's like maybe 1 or 2, but it's still there.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I have a video request, Sai.
What's
this
up?
Seems like in your ballpark of something, maybe like a break week. What would Egghead look like if Yamato joined? Yamato
I think it's
versus
funny.
Like Lucci, Yamato Kizaru. Like, what? How does Yamato?
I've talked to somebody and they said they were making a video like that, or was it for Frankie or somebody else? Yeah. I think they're like what if the Straw Hats that were up on the top went to the bottom and the bottom went to the top? Or it's just something like that in general. But Yamato and Egghead, I think that's another idea that's been floated around. And Yamato would trivialize a lot of things, because right now, like, the Straw Hats did really well on Egghead, right? We pretty much fended off the Gorosei. You know, we didn't beat them, but we fended them off really well. Like, we had no significant injuries, right? Everybody was fine.
Sourced from the Gorosei.
Yeah.
At least Robin and then even injured.
Rob Lucci and the rest, it's like, I mean, they were dangerous, but I mean, Luffy and Zoro handled them. Of course, there was Kaku who got fodderized immediately by Sanji's bubble. Like, if Yamato was there, and if Yamato's around the same level as Zoro and Sanji, like, we're fine, right? Like, we're good. The Seraphim wouldn't have been an issue even more so than before.
I feel like as the, you know, people might be shouting like, Kuma, he's a casualty, and it's like we're not really counting that.
Yeah,
as
I don't
far
count
as
Kuma.
Like, that's like a plot death. Like, he's
being revived like soon too, right? They're like, oh yeah, we'll just fix up Kuma pretty soon. It's like, okay, yeah. So Kuma's fine.
Like,
don't worry about him.
Like, even if Yamato was there, like it would just be he would just like self implode somehow. Like that it would just be that. And then Vegapunk also self plotted the death essentially, and he didn't die, so like it doesn't really count either. So so Yamato being there, it would just be like overkill. Like it. I think like the more common phrase, but like they were Gear 5, Nika. But they knew that Luffy was that, right? And that was shocker. And like Bonnie, they didn't even but like Kaido has a son, like daughter, like they would be like, what the hell is happening? And this like daughter is able to like Kizaru would be like, oh shit. I didn't know you were there. Like when he would rethink, I would go there and fight Big Mom and Kaido, and you know what I mean? Like he'd be fighting Yamato and be like, damn, that would have been crazy if I did go to.
And the thing with Yamato is that like Zoro, for example, he's still learning like advanced Conqueror's Haki coding. Yamato already has that. Like Yamato's like pretty much max leveled, right?
Yeah,
like she's fine, dude. It's crazy.
Yamato would have been nuts. Oh, you know where Yamato would have been nuts as a like if Oda wanted to Jinbei her in the sense of like Oda like because Oda kind of like backseated Jinbei because if you also involve Jinbei in an active role anywhere, it also would have like
been too much.
So instead he just made him which still doesn't make sense. Like we know what he did, but it wouldn't take that much out of Jinbei to do other things as well. And it's it's like for me, I'm looking at it like, yo, Jinbei easily could have just like 1v the Buster Call. Like just went off and just like started swimming, taking out all the like who would have stopped him? Nobody. I don't know. There's not really an opposition. Yeah, sure, the VAs. But I'm saying what I was gonna say is that as far as Jinbeiing her would be like, okay, Yamato go deal with the Buster Call. And at least then, I think honestly, I would have a better you know what? Yamato going to Egghead and getting Jinbei fied would be better for the Buster Call. Because then I could say, oh, the Buster Call lost to Yamato. That makes sense. Versus the Buster Call being a waste.
The thing is that if Yamato was there, I feel like they just put her in box duty with Jinbei.
No,
I think that's what would happen. No, like realistically, so the reason, like that'd be having Yamato there would be too powerful. It's kind of like you said with Jinbei, right? If Jinbei was there fighting Lucci with Zoro or fighting Kaku or somebody else, or even the Seraphim, it's like like Jinbei kind of also trivializes a lot of things or makes things easier. Yeah. So if we add Yamato in, Oda would have to like nerf her too.
Yeah. So the reason I would like the Yamato versus that because it'd be Wolf versus the 9 dogs. You know what I mean? Like it'd be a dog eat dog world, right? Like that'd be fun. I'd like that, but it's okay.
Yeah, we'll get Yamato in a dog versus dog world, always bet on the VAs. That's what they typically say.
Oh, I didn't read the. You're right. I didn't read the full book.
Yeah, come on.
Dang. You're right.
So. On to the first page of the chapter, we see that Luffy is wondering why he should even fight this old guy. All right, like, what's going on here? Like, what is happening? Like, we just came down here, you're supposed to take us to the key, and now you're gatekeeping it? Like, this is crazy. So Luffy jumps off because he gets egged on. Scopper says, don't you think you can take it? And that is when Luffy goes into a flurry of grab attacks. And he's trying to get that key back. Yeah, Gatling grab is what he would call it. But Scopper is too quick. And he's dodging all of it with ease, really, like not even breaking a sweat. And then that's when he jumps up and he slaps Luffy with a hockeyed up key. And you know what people are saying. Exactly. What kind of hockey is this? Is it Conquerors? Is it armament? Like, we have no clue. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, there is no definitive answer. Like, there is no 100% with what this is. And that's true for a lot of other instances, right? Like, people are still debating Kobe's Honesty Impact. And it's like, like, until Oda says what this is verbatim, nobody's going to be in agreement. There's always going to be, like, people on the other side. So it's kind of like a pointless debate. But in general, though, like, as far as your opinion goes, do you think this is Conqueror's Haki? Do you want it to be Conqueror's Haki? Would it be crazy? And then, of course, people extend Scopper onto Sanji, right? Like, does this mean Sanji's going to get that Haki? Like, where are you with all of this?
It's Conqueror's Haki. It's like I'd rather be just assuming this is Conqueror's Haki than not, because then you'd have to filter out so many examples where I've already been on the boat where it's like Sanji would eventually get Conquer's Haki, whether he's already displayed it or not. Like I could sit there and debate with certain people, whatever, but like it's just kind of like eventually he's gonna get it. And I said it before on stream with you, where it's just like especially at this point, I could understand debating it like what in chapters in the 1000s, I guess, like in those chapters,
like early Wano,
yeah, and talking about like, oh, is this on the debut of this, and that's fine and dandy, but like now, especially with Elbaf and the end of Egghead, it's like, does Conqueror's Haki even like? It's not. It is crazy, sure, and maybe like a few people have it, sure, but there's some powers that already are being shown and haven't even been shown that are just like, what the hell is this, dog? Like, what are we doing?
Magic,
and,
right?
Yeah, magic, canceling Haki. What's the point at that point? You know, why do I care if Sanji has Conqueror's Haki if there's a dude who might be able to negate Haki? We don't know to what level Shanks can, like, maybe it's just observation Haki, but that alone could tell you that maybe there's more. Maybe canceling armament, maybe canceling conquers. Like, why not? If you can do one, why not the other one, right? And disrupting it and all that stuff. It's like, okay, so we give this guy Conqueror's Haki. Crazy. And it's like, who are we debating has it? It's the left hand, whose last chapter was set to be on equal footing as the right hand and Roger. And it's like, they have conquerors, yeah, like, and the aura that this guy already has is just like, I'm not gonna gatekeep Conqueror's Haki from him if like Oda, just like on one example of him attacking, it has it, and I'm gonna be like, nah, that's just like insane armament. Like, it's not Conqueror's Haki. Though surely the left hand doesn't also have conquerors, right? It's like, I don't know, they probably all have conquerors. Let's stop it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And like, and you know, people are like, oh, but everyone has conquerors. It's like, that debate is so silly because it's just like, no, we're seeing the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of like the 1%, and in the 1% of the world, like there's so many 1% of this guy's literally the pirate king's crew. There's not that if anybody were to have it, it's the guy who's made a name for himself, which is what Rayleigh said. He's basically said that anybody who's made a name for themselves on this sea probably has conquerors. That's what it is. And so that's kind of been my litmus test. Anybody who has a reputation will either have it or most likely will develop it. And so a character that, like Sanji, for example, Sanji literally is like, stood on the business of, I will become the Navy's worst enemy, right? And that's something that like whether that exists right now doesn't matter, because that Oda's going to substantiate that. And if he substantiates something like that, where he's actually like an insane threat to the Navy on that tier, that's someone who gets Conqueror's Haki, right? And like, sure, there are examples of characters who have an insane amount of notoriety, power, and justification for it, like Mihawk. But the thing is with Mihawk, like, we don't have too many examples of him fighting, and is like, I wouldn't use him as a reason to deny other people having Conqueror's Haki just because we haven't seen him really even fight like that. You know what I mean? Like, he probably has it, and if he doesn't have it, it really doesn't matter. But I don't see that as like, oh, like, you don't, like, you know what I mean? With Sanji, it's like we kind of seen like the lightning and all the stuff that kind of alludes to it, and where that was earlier on that was pre Last Saga. So Last Saga is the ramp up. So we're gonna see it. And Scopper Gaban, this having it's not that. It's not that crazy to me.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think Scopper having Conqueror's Haki makes sense. Like you said, like, he's a legendary star right beside Roger and Rayleigh. He conquered the world. He knows about the Void Century, everything about Emu and Joy Boy. Like, he is that guy. And then as far as Sanji getting it, I agree. Like, we're in a stage of One Piece where so many characters are getting insane power-ups that Sanji getting Conqueror's Haki, like, yeah, it's still crazy. Don't get me wrong. I'll be hyped when that happens, but it shouldn't be super shocking, right? Like, it would shock me initially, but I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense, though. Like, when you think about, like, Zoro, right? Because for me, at the beginning of Wano, I was always a fan of Sanji getting Conqueror's Haki, but I'm always of the mindset that Zoro has to be stronger. Luffy has to be stronger, right? There's that structured hierarchy in One Piece that's always been persistent. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. It's always been like that. Oda likes to have fun, and like he flips the bounties around and like, oh, he has a higher bounty than you here. He has a higher, like it's just good fun. But that's just how it is, and that's why I was kind of hesitant giving Sanji Conquerors. But with Zoro, right, he has King of Hell mode, he has the Advanced Conquerors Haki, and then Zoro still is going to get like a Black Blade down the road. You know, he still has like more to go with like Ashura and whatever powers that is. So like Sanji getting Conquerors Haki, I don't think will throw a wrench in that debate at all. Like, I mean, that just seems like a natural power up at this point. And then plus we have to remember that Sanji, he has like the nickname Black Leg Sanji. I know Oda did that in like chapter 50 or 60, so it doesn't matter too much. But at the same time, it's like, well, how's he gonna be really known as Black Leg Sanji? Like maybe it's Black Conquerors Haki, or you know, the black lightning that erupts from it. I think that'd be pretty cool. Or maybe a Black Flame. But I think Sanji getting it isn't bad. As far as people arguing about like, oh, but he doesn't have the mindset of a conqueror, I feel like that's always been up for debate. Like there's so many like interpretations of Conqueror's Haki. Some people are saying you're born with it. Some people saying you have to develop it over time by just mastering Haki. Some people are saying that, oh, you have to have the right mindset. One way or another, a lot of these characters that we meet, like you said, nowadays, they just have Conqueror's Haki. Like we are looking at the 1% of the 1%. Like there are at least 500 to 600 named One Piece characters. Maybe only 20 people have Conqueror's Haki. Just add Sanji to the list, it wouldn't change the statistics that much. So I'm pretty cool with it. I'm not like of the day a big debater on it, but just Sanji having it, I think makes sense. Especially if this is like the Pirate King's left-hand man, right? Like imagine Sanji, end of story. Sanji has the All Blue, one of the only people who's ever found it. He's with Luffy and Zoro, who, you know, world's strongest swordsman and Pirate King. It's like, yeah, Sanji's just like a glorified chef, but, you know, might as well just give him Conqueror's Haki. Make him the best chef in the world. Why not? Easy.
Glorified chef is crazy. But
yeah, I know. That sounded bad. That sounded like an insult.
Yeah, I know what you meant. But yeah, like at the end of the day, right? Like when it comes to the what's it called? Like everyone has like their Oda's giving them each different battles too, like conquering different things, and so like that's also a completely, you know, nuanced position in One Piece. And like you said, like like giving Zoro the leg up is super easy. He's a swordsman, right? Like he's built to be a combatant. Sanji's not. So it's like, of course the combatant is stronger than the he's a chef. Like you said, like he's a chef. If the options were leaves a situation up to Zoro to fight and he knew that Zoro could handle it, or cook a meal for Nami and Robin, he'd probably just choose Nami and Robin to cook. He wouldn't be worried about Zoro, right? Like, you know what I mean? And he wouldn't be raring to go to fight. I think about that mentality where it's like, where we're seeing in the story all the times where like Luffy's running after somebody and Zoro's like right there. And Sanji's like, hey, what are we doing? Like, stop that. You know what I mean? That in and of itself is like, tells you a different understanding. It's like, yeah, like if you guys want Zoro to be stronger, he's like, yeah, the profile of the stronger like fighter, right? Like we don't need more than that. In the Conqueror's Haki part, like I look at it as like you said, like, you know, 500 named characters, whatever, but we go to the last scene, last fight. I wouldn't be surprised if the people who are participating in that last fight with Luffy all have Conquerors. Why would it? All the people who don't have Conquerors are like doing periphery fights or missions or other things, and they're important, sure. But it wouldn't be crazy to me if everybody in the fight that like Luffy, Shanks, the Yonko, whatever, Buggy included, would all just, you know, have Conqueror's Haki. Why wouldn't the fight for the One Piece / the fate of the world be in the hands of the conquerors, right? Even if you wanted to gatekeep conquerors, wouldn't it make sense that all the characters that are there have it? And then it's like, yeah, if you want to debate if Sanji's gonna be there or not, that's one thing, right? Because he wasn't on the rooftop, sure. Like you could say
he got
that.
added into the rooftop via promotion though, which is funny.
Yeah, and so it's like,
who did they erase again? Did they erase Killer? They erased somebody and put Sanji up there, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I'm forgetting. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, it's just that's kind of how I see it, and I do see that Sanji gets included in those end stage situations in a big way.
And then when it comes to Conqueror's Haki, like not all Conqueror's Haki is created equally, right? Some people's Haki's stronger, some people's are weaker. So, like, you know, you can give Sanji Conquerors, or you can give anybody Conquerors, and it just doesn't have to be the most powerful thing if that's what you're worried about.
Yeah,
like it can be on the lower end.
I've always like, again, this goes back to like my first collab with Brago. I've like always said that even like character like Kobe would get Conquerors Hockey. And so when the Honesty Impact comes out, I always thought off a rip that was Conquerors Hockey. And I get the debate of whether it is, especially at that time, right? But like the kind of debate that, or shock that like Kobe has it, should not be the same level or be fought in the same way of Sanji. That would be crazy to me. And I'm somebody who believes that from rip that they both should, it would apply to both of them, and there'd be degrees and tiers and reasons and whatever. But to the mind-blowing part is if people are more shocked or more combatant that Sanji would get it rather than Kobe. It should not be like that, right? It should just be like, all right, Sanji has it. If we're now at a place where it's like we're watching Kobe blast an island into smithereens with like insane black lighting and people are debating about that, then it's like, all right, like, no, like,
remember there was like the lightning scalers. They like whooped out the ruler. Like, wait a minute, this lightning isn't a stick.
yeah.
And it's like, I wonder if Oda really does that. Like, do you think Oda whips out like a ruler and he's like, okay, this lightning is not Conqueror, so I'm gonna draw it a little bit smaller.
No, I think Oda does it. Like, I think Oda likes. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we don't know what part of the One Piece fan letter he had in sense of like validating certain things that were reflective of the community. Obviously, it was a fan who made, like, someone who really likes One Piece, and we get that. We know who directed all that stuff, and created it. But as far as like, when we see like the painting the baseball black and stuff like that, like Oda loves charging the community, and the One Piece fan letter, that bar scene, it's like that's fueling it, right? That's more. This is what the community is like. And 100% Oda likes to like stir the pot especially in places that like, does it actually matter? Our entire standpoint right now is like, it doesn't matter, guys. Like, just give them Conquerors and move on. It's not that big of a deal. And Oda's just like, hey, I'm gonna make this a little skinnier so that people get pissed off and be like, ooh, this is just crazy armament, guys.
He's a memester, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, Scopper, after laying it down on Luffy, he jumps back, and then that is when Road says, yeah, Nami's kind of shocked this is happening, Luffy's pissed, and that is when Scopper starts talking about the Straw Hat, saying, hey, like, that suits you better than the helmet, right? And it's funny because, like, in a lot of, you remember, like, back in the beginning of Elbaf, people were like, oh, Luffy doesn't have the Straw Hat in this one panel. This isn't Luffy.
I was simulation.
Like, oh, man, that was the worst timeline. That was, like, the worst month of my life. Just people going back and forth like it's a hallucination. Like, can't you guys see? Like, what happened to those people? Do you think they're still around, like, reading One Piece? Or
I don't know how they would contextualize. Like, do you think? Are you saying that?
Is this still a hallucination?
Yeah. Do they still think it's a hallucination? You know what's funny about that is, like, my next video, like, I'm gonna like incite those people, but I don't like that. I'm like, I realized that like maybe like 2 pages in when I started this section, I was like, oh no, the people who think that this is a simulation is gonna get the wrong idea, and then they're gonna do that thing at the start of this video. You're like, oh, I agree with Par, and I was like, whoa, I didn't disagree with the page on the alt. They're just like, oh, Par's validating the simulation thing, and so now I'm actively like, I went back and I was like, oh shit, I have to like backwards write in like okay, like it's not a simulation. Like,
you gotta be careful with your words. Yeah, and the thing is, right, like I have bad theories all the time, right? We all have theories that don't come true, but I just didn't like how hard people fought for the simulation one, though. Like, at least for me, I could see other instances. Like, I have a theory, I see the opposite end. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. If it's at least, substantiated. But the simulation one had no legs. It had no legs at all.
Or no, I think without the legs, it was more like the legs were pronged, because we would just be like, I would just be reacting to the chapter, and it's like, silly Par, you think that this is real? And I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do? Yeah. I'm reading the chapter. They're like stuck in the place, and they're like, look at Par actually contemplating about this thing. It's a simulation, clearly, because Oda made like 2 inconsistent scenes. I'm like, all right, oh, this chapter doesn't matter because it's all fake. Like, no, that's not. Even if it's a simulation, I'm supposed to react to the simulation, right? Like,
yeah, why are you reacting to something that's not real, Par?
Yeah,
Idiot.
yeah. That was because like that was what got me. I forget if we like referenced that, but like people literally would be like, "Oh no!" Like Par is like thinks this is real. Like silly. There are still roofied. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like they're roofied. I'm reacting to E-Scat right now. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, and it had no legs because it was like, oh, like did you see this? Usopp's satchel is missing in one panel, but it comes back in the next. Or oh, Luffy has a sword in this panel, but he has an axe in the next one. It's like, guys, I said this like back when it happened, but I was like, dude, at least a dozen people touch these chapters every single time. Like dude, 3 people could draw one panel. You know, Oda's oversighting all of this, but he's not there like babysitting them. You know what I mean? Like it, and this is a new arc, new clothes, new weapons. Like it was literally the first chapter of that. And it's like, dude, inconsistencies happen, and it even happens in other chapters as well, like in Egghead, in Wano. And that's why when you go through the volume changes, there's usually like a dozen of them where they're like, oh, we fixed this, we fixed that, we gave Kaido a beard here because it matches the timeline, and we messed that up. It's like, guys, like there are always mistakes in One Piece, and they always fix it. That's why, like, when they said it was all hallucination, I was like, guys, like, you're not even seeing reality. Like, you're ignoring the past 1,000 chapters of error and only focusing on this one. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
Then also,
bad timeline.
The one time that I've ever seen Oda mad was in that SBS where someone pointed out, oh, you drew Zoro's sword on the wrong side of his hip. And Oda popped off in that SBS. Like, you could hear the anger. And I think he was still trying, like, at least the translation sounded, like, nice. But, like, you could hear, it's like, well, you didn't notice I got it wrong in this chapter. Where how come you guys aren't finding those, huh? And he's like, popped off. I'm like, damn, Oda's cooking this kid. Like, it's crazy. And it's and like that was the one, and that was not early One Piece. That was probably like probably in the volume 40s, 30s or something like that. So like 10 years
halfway
into whatever. Yeah. So yeah. And then on top of that, all those mistakes were during the time when Oda had the unprecedented like break weeks of like health and like the live action, and just like random unscheduled break weeks just came up, and it's like surely there's some things in the background that aren't like oiled, and then well oiled going on, and then all of a sudden emergency 4-week break, and it's like, oh, all of that makes sense if Oda had been dealing with this health issue or whatever, and scheduling, you know, with the live action and all that stuff, and then like the people had to deal with more workload. That's an easy way in a new arc with new outfits with a new standard to create all those things. So yeah, it was funny that I didn't realize it, but yeah, like this page right here is like a hard confirmation. Stop it. No more simulation. Like this is it. It's done.
The hat's back there. It exists, guys. It exists.
It's been acknowledged.
Yeah.
This should break the fourth wall.
Luffy says that it is his treasure and that he's simply holding on to the hat for Shanks, and that is when Scopper is like, whoa, like Shanks, he's kind of stingy, huh? A cheapskate. He didn't just give you the hat, which I also agree with. It kind of does bring back like this question that people had since the very beginning of One Piece. It's like, well, will Luffy really give it back one day, or does Luffy just keep it? Because it would be strange if like we hit the end of One Piece and Luffy doesn't have the straw hat anymore. Like I could see him passing it on to another kid or like the next generation, but like I can't imagine a scenario though where he gives Shanks the straw hat and then he's like, oh, see you later. I guess I'll never see that again. Like I don't know. It's always like an odd one because that is Luffy's thing. That's his epithet, right? He's Straw Hat Luffy. You get rid of the straw hat, and who is he? Maybe just Pirate King Luffy instead. Pirate King Monkey D. Luffy, I guess. I don't know.
Guard circles, self stabs pirates. Like I don't know. Like because he gave him
the anchor pirate. Like, I don't. Yeah. I have no clue. I mean, maybe the white pirate.
Well, and thing with the Shanks too, right? Like, because he's known as the red-haired pirates, but his insignia is just mainly the 3 scars on his eye. So it's like, you know, his namesake isn't even really there, as opposed to where Luffy, it's a straw hat, right? It's not a straw hat, so he gives it away, and then it's like, wait, where's the straw hat? You know, it would be silly. So,
that's why I was always like a fan of Shanks dying, maybe. before Luffy could give it back to him, just so that Luffy has to keep it. But I don't know. I feel like if that happens, Luffy just returns the hat to his grave. I don't know. It's a weird one.
That's also, the hat, one way or another, plays a huge role in the story. Like, it has to.
Yeah.
So whether it's a functional aspect or a well, I guess in all terms it'd be functional, but like a power, like it's some kind of like tied to some power.
Oh yeah, because you love like Chinese manga comics and all those. You love Chinese stories.
This is little brown boy Par.
And every Chinese story, it's always like, oh, like we're in an RPG, we're in a game, it's a simulation, and all these hats and items we have like crazy hidden stats.
Nah.
I agree. That's cool. I mean, solo leveling's popular, so I mean that would happen in solo leveling, right?
Solo leveling didn't exist when I was 10, so as far as the hat being relevant to the end story, I think that's like slated by the first chapter. I've always said it, like, in the videos, I had a video about like what the hat could be, and the idea is essentially surrounded like, hey, like Luffy inherited the Nika fruit and the straw hat at the same time, and it's like, if the fruit was the rubber fruit and it ended up being a god fruit and it's from Shanks, gotta wonder what the other thing was, and that's the straw hat. So it's like, and then the things in marriage law. So like, we could continue to sleep on the hat, or we could be like, yo, the hat is probably on the same tier as the Nika fruit, where it's just like,
that'd be crazy.
This seemingly garbage fruit that like people would scoff at. Even Anel, who's like, this is my mortal weakness, but you're also a paramecia monkey. You know what I mean? Like, you still like just roasting him for no reason. And it's like, oh, you have a garbage paramecia fruit, right? Where that fruit ended up becoming a god fruit. And so it's like similarly, in the same vein, I always love the thing where it is a significant thing, because I'm sure you've seen it too, where in Japan, if you buy like the standard straw hat, a lot of them have the 3 scar on top, and that's from when Buggy stabbed it. And the fact that that's still like a straw hat that you could, like a notable thing that they like reflect. I know when Hidden went to Japan at the time, it was like Film Red promo, and I don't know why it would be relevant to Film Red, but he just showed me a bunch. Like, there was just all of them where it just had the 3 thing, and then if you wanted the expensive one, it was like $600 or something like that. It's like a real one without the 3 scratch mark. But Buggy, like, constantly down, like, not harassing, downplaying, whatever, like in the introduction, like, of One Piece, he like, stupid straw hat, chops it up, slices it, all that stuff, and just like, it's not important, and it's like, it was probably gonna be important, to the point where Oda did it again, where at Marineford he had Buggy pass on the hat and save that hat, and it was between Buggy and Shanks and Luffy and all that situation. So it's like, that hat is definitely going to be insane.
Oh yeah,
important, in my opinion.
Yeah, I forgot to mention one thing too. But when Scopper slams down the key on Luffy with the hockey earlier on, what's interesting about that is that the hockey starts from the tip of the key. You see that?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I saw that.
I saw that, and I was like, whoa, like, usually it's like, it comes from your hands and it goes onto the thing, but this time it started from the tip and then it went to his hands.
It looks like, and it could be shading, but like, if you look at the handlebar, it looks like it's blackened there, and it looks like it blackened there and shot to the tip and then covered out like an umbrella. Like, you can see a strand of black coming from it. And so so the
it's nice detail.
I was like, yeah, I mean, it was just crazy, because like, Scopper hit him with this hard tip, and I was like, that's wild. And then later he stuck it in Luffy's mouth. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was coming.
Classic Par, sexualizing anime characters.
No,
First old D, now Scopper and Luffy. Who's next, Par? There is no anime character that won't get sexualized by you. You can undress people with your eyes, can't you?
I mean, so can you. What do you mean?
Like, nah, dude. I believe it or not, when I see people, I put clothes on them.
Corona?
Exactly. Yep. I gave her a jacket.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it's funny because like during this conversation, you already talked about it, but Scopper ends up shoving the key in Luffy's mouth, and I think the timing's hilarious because it looks like Luffy was about to ask about Shanks as well. So TCB doesn't really show it, but in the translation I read, Luffy was in the middle of saying something, or he was about to say something else, and then that's when Scopper just shoved it in. And this kind of reminds me of the Loki conversation, right? Luffy's like, oh, like, Shanks isn't a coward, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, wait, you guys know Shanks? So maybe, like, Luffy was going to ask, like, wait, how do you know that guy, or how do you know of Shanks? And then, obviously, Scopper just shut him up. Because Scopper is trying to avoid the whole, like, Shanks and Roger conversation right now, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah. He just wants to be that old Yasan guy. Which is... I feel like I'd do the same. You know what I mean? Just, like, chilling.
Nah, dude, I'd be like Tomorrow Black, man. If I had the reputation, I'd be like Tomorrow Black. I'd be like hanging out.
No,
like,
you wouldn't. No, you didn't.
I'm the 500 million berry man. I'm Garp's grandson, the son of Dragon. Didn't you see me? That would be me, bro. Sitting in the bar, like, bartender, bring it over here. They're like a second late, you shoot him in the foot. Like, don't be late next time. That'd be my ass, bro.
So full of shit. You know?
No, that'd be me.
Know why I know that? Nah, because so yesterday I was like at an event and someone asked me what I do, and I was just like, I just said, like, you know, like my old, well, technically it's not old, it's concurrent, but I was like, oh, I do like property management stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, and I know you do the same. You wouldn't be like, I'm a YouTuber. You would never do that. So that's how I know you wouldn't be Tomorrow Black. You wouldn't be
I'd be Tomorrow Black. I'd be flaunting.
Nah, you wouldn't be like, I have 3 channels almost at 100K. If wait, are you? No, yeah.
No,
you would. I would have known if you're 100K. Yeah. You wouldn't do that. So I know you wouldn't. You'd be like Yasan here. You'd just be an old guy.
I'm humble in some instances, but I feel like if I was Luffy, man, I'd be different. Or Yasan. Oh, dude, if I was Scopper or Rayleigh, I'd be at a bar saying, "Do you guys want to know the Void Century? Like, I figured it out. I read the poneglyphs." That'd be my ass.
I feel like if we were Luffy and we're like, what, 20 or whatever, I feel like, yeah, maybe we'd be different, right? 20-year-old you or me, maybe we'd be like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber with it. And like, maybe we'd be like that.
No. Dude, at all ages, man. And then it'd be like, Par, like, quick, undress her with your eyes.
80 years old Yasan. I feel like I'd be sleeping. You know what? Yeah, I'd just be sleeping most of the time. I'd be sleeping through most conversations too. Like, someone's trying to talk to me, I'm like, bro, go to sleep. Like,
yeah, but that's like one step away from dementia, though.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's internal conversations.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Not one step away from dementia. That's wild.
Yeah, first they're gonna say, yeah, Par doesn't talk much. He's really quiet. Now he just sleeps a lot. Like, they're gonna think you're dying, dude.
I mean, people already think I'm dying. You think I'm dying all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, that's because, you know, of your situation with your health.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I think about dying all the time. So we got Scopper here, and he whips out the dual axes. I don't know where he was keeping it. You know, he just whipped it out of his asshole. He twirls them. And I'm going to admit, man, in his hair, maybe. The thing with Scopper's axes is that, do you think they're named? Do you think it's like a special axe or like a supreme grade axe or blade? Because, like, I don't want to be that guy. But, you know, as somebody who plays a lot of games, like, they're very unremarkable axes. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like you go to, like, the level 1 shop in Maple Story at Hennessy Village, and this is what you pick up for, like, 500 mesos. Like, it's just 2 regular axes, man. Like, it's not special, right? It's not like, you know, like Shunsui... Or Shusui, sorry. Shunsui's a guy from Bleach. Shusui, it's not like Wado Ichimonji. It's not like Enma where it's like black. You know what I mean? Like, it's just axes, bro.
That's not, I think it's like the
Sandai.
Axes. Like you said, like, it's just like a regular blade that like is constantly getting elevated and elevated. And it has a claim to greatness. Sandai is like a replica of, like, you know, the main one.
Yeah.
So like maybe these axes they're his first axes. They maintain themselves. That's why they're legendary. They're the like yeah. It's like the equivalent of like Luffy's straw hat being probably like Nika's straw hat or something like that. If it were that the case, right? It's like Why is this hat special? Because the sun god wore it, right? Why are these axes special? Like if these were passed on, Scopper Gaban, the mountain slayer, eater, cave diver, wielded these two famously against Ripley, right? Like that's why, these axes, they would elevate. Like when you blacken a blade, they go up a grade, right?
Yeah.
Like I think maybe axes have another rule too, right? Like if they've gone through an entire user without ever breaking, they go up 2 grades. Ooh, that'd be good.
Ooh, so do you think it's a supreme grade blade then?
No, it's not supreme, because then we'd have to take out 2 of the 12, right?
Oh, unless it's like a duo. It could be a duo.
It could be a duo. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Nah, I feel like I'm always a fan of just regular shit being OP. You know what I mean? Like just like Zoro's cool and all with like his special swords, but like when the conversation came up with like, oh man, like I wish he got the Shusui back and he got this, and like all the swords. Like I don't even care about that. Like I'd honestly prefer if Zoro were just walking around, just picking up some dude's sword and using it. You know what I mean? Like I like that. And I get like that. Like Zoro holds on to 3. That's fine too. That doesn't bother me. I'm just saying like I like it when the story is just like the character is a gunman and he just walks into a bar, takes out the other dude's pistol and is just master class at it, or he's better at it than them. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like the classic Chinese manga trope.
Shut the fuck up.
It's like all your favorite cultivation series where you have this
like
guy like level 500 and he has like a level 1 weapon, and then you see this guy's like, yeah, my daddy bought me this golden sword. This golden sword never breaks, and then our main character just destroys it, and you're like, oh, I love that.
Shampoo.
That's you. You love that. You eat it up.
Shampoo. Where the guy is voiced by Zoro, right? Like the same voice actor.
I think so.
Samurai. Yeah, like that guy. That guy's like that. Where the other guy's like the decorated
you just like overpowered
swordsman.
main characters who don't, they're unsuspecting. They're very humble. They make the most minor things OP. Like I like the same thing as you do. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm there with you, brother. I love these series, man. It's okay.
Hold on, no. But I'm offended about the source. My source isn't these
China.
Random knockoff Chinese made in China.
Okay, all right. Saying made in China is a knockoff, that's like very 2005 part. Come on, man. It's 2025. China, they can compete now, man. Come on.
Hey. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I was raised in the era. Made in China. No, it wasn't even like Made in America is better back then. I think like Made in America was worse back then. It was like you prefer the Made in China. It was just you'd get mad at it. You'd be like, oh, everything's made. It wasn't that you'd buy the thing that was Made in America, because it's probably worse. You'd just be mad that everything was made in China back then. But yeah, my favorite was all the American flags were like made in China.
It's cheap, dude. Cheap labor. I do it too. Shoot. You got to run a business.
Yeah,
man. Got mouths to feed.
Samurai Champloo, like I think there's like Cowboy Bebop.
I like how you say Samurai Champloo just because it's more respected. Like you're afraid to say all my Chinese series and Korean manga that I read.
Those are actually
all these webtoons that I read always do this.
I mean, it's not like I could
character
say
using a rock, beating everybody.
It's not like I could say that about like Dragon Ball Z or anything. Like they don't have that trope, because it's like they're the only ones that had, not only ones, that's crazy, but like the ones that had it were those OG ones. That's all I'm saying.
There's nothing wrong with it, Par. Like I said, I like it too, man. I love solo leveling.
I didn't say. I don't even solo. Is that even solo leveling? Solo leveling isn't an unsuspecting guy. The guy becomes more suspecting as
time goes on. But in the beginning, he's just like, oh, I did that, huh? Like I threw a rock at this golem and he died in one hit. Weird. He must have been weakened.
To himself.
I'm just saying, it's just like a trope that you would see in it. And I respect it. I love. See, this is why I love having you here, brother. Like you got all these cool perspectives.
No. See,
all these great Chinese references.
First of all, that's not even Chinese. First of all, that's
no, it's Korean. But all the cultivation series you read, they're Chinese.
Second of all, you saying Solo Leveling as an example is also extra funny because the trope that Solo Leveling made was that if your character looks like Sun Jin Woo, then you're suspecting that
you're over here like, like in my favorite series, Tales of Gods and Demons, like this happens all the time.
Okay, hold on. That's messed up. That's a
I'm
low
Par, just
you
take
got
pride in it.
Big bucks.
Take pride in it, man.
Just because they sponsored you, all right, buddy. You know, pull that.
Yeah, and guess
out
what? When they sponsored me, I said, "Hey, I got a good friend who really loves your series."
First of all,
he goons off to it every time. Like he was really. You know, he was shy when I brought this up. Like, you should have seen the blush on his face when he said he knew somebody who was sponsored by Tales of Gods and Demons, which is Par's favorite series, by the way. He likes it more than One Piece. So it's insane that, like, you know, Par's trying to underplay this. But to TLDR, Par loves overpowered characters who are unsuspecting or who use, like, level 1 weapons or guys who just level things up from day one, makes it overpowered, or people who are like, this guy's weak, but he's actually strong. Par is the type of guy that eats up that trope.
He doesn't use. That's how I know you're just a sponsored reader. You're not an actual. He uses the most broken shit in the series.
I don't know, man. I mean, you are the expert in it, so you tell me.
Money. This is how money corrupts. Oh my god. They just once you get money, you just start beating down on I'm just a lonely reader over here, just reading my favorite series, and I'm just getting
bullied.
I was gonna say, bullied by big mangaka. Big manga.
Speaking of getting bullied, Scopper whips out his Grim Thong, and he starts sending a flurry of slashes towards Luffy and Zoro. It's so crazy that I don't even know what that face is. Like, Luffy's just, like, terrified, right? It's like something you'd see in, like, a old school horror movie. He's absolutely shocked by this, and Zoro says dodge, right. And we don't really know, like, what's happening per se. I've seen a couple of different interpretations. Some people are saying that Zoro jumped in and then he kicked Luffy away. Some people are saying Zoro stepped in, started blocking attacks, and Luffy fell backwards. And then some people are saying that no, Scopper is actually doing a big AoE and Zoro was already right there. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like they all could be right. Like, we don't really see anything. We do see, like, a line that goes to where Zoro's at, so it looks like Zoro did jump in my opinion. Yeah. And then, of course, for Luffy, like, he dodged it, right? But he also dodged it, like, rolling back. So that's why I think it looks like Zoro might have, you know, pushed him to the side, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you interpret all of this?
I might be forgetting, but, like...
What'd they do in Tales of Demons and Gods?
I feel like in Onigashima, it's funny you say that because right now in Tales of Demons and God, there's a scene exactly like this where it's like, but it's so badly.
No, this is a meme. Don't feed into it, Par.
It's so badly adapted that like you can never tell what happens in the panels, anyways. But because in Onigashima, Zoro jumped in, blocked a shot, and in I think it was a Boro breath, right? That like Zoro blocked for Luffy mid-air, which, you know, arguably wouldn't have really done much to Luffy, I don't think. Like, we saw Luffy like was kind of impervious to it before, after, like, Big Mom's lightning doesn't work, the fire doesn't work, none of that stuff works anyways. I kind of see that in the same vein here, where it's like maybe he kicks in Gear 5 earlier, sure, but like Zoro jumps in, blocks it just to like avoid unnecessary damage. I think like the context for me is Zoro has like a more serious face. Like he's worried kind of thing. So I think Zoro did jump in, like he wasn't like planning. It was not something that he's just like he has to deal with where he's at. He's like Luffy dodge. He's aware of where Luffy's at, so he jumps in, blocks it. And like my like biggest cope would be like he wanted to steal Luffy's opponent because like Scopper pulled out blades and he's like,
because he sensed the supreme grade blades.
Yeah, he's just like, oh no, I gotta nip this in the butt before Mihawk shows up, right? Like he's just like, oh no,
Mihawk steals my kill.
Yeah, like Zoro's he's in a isekai, a gamified isekai, and he's like, oh no, Mihawk's about to get a notification. So he jumps, he got the status notification on his thing.
You're playing into it.
The opponent has equipped 2 blades you must acquire for this mission.
Yeah, new quest unlock, defeat Scopper.
That would be the funniest. Like, not okay, that'd be terrible for One Piece, but it'd be funny if like Oda reveals that like Luffy doesn't have inner dialogue because he has a status notification.
Dude, I think people would hate that. Like, imagine we see the story from Luffy's POV, and then every single time Luffy fights, there's like a health bar level,
but
like it has stats, and then it's like a narrator talking to him.
I would be able to cook up the craziest, most hated theory about that, because then it's like, how does Luffy name his attacks?
The Straw Hat tells him. It whispers in his ear.
I'd force them into choosing the worst options of like, it's just an anime shonen, or versus you could choose the active choice of it's the Straw Hat. He was taught these things by Nika. Like, that's a terrible option as well. Like, Nika's in his head telling him the moves and teaching him in his brain. Or it's a status notification and he unlocks a new ability, and so he's just like, Baj wrong gun. Where did he learn
imagine like the scene where Luffy stands up because Usopp yelled at him during Enies Lobby. Imagine it's not because of Usopp's words that Luffy got up. It's because he leveled up at the last minute and he got HP boost. Yeah, the only reason Luffy beat Kaido is because he leveled up at the right time.
Yeah, his XP just filled out. It's a plot. That would literally be solo leveling at that point. It would be literally solo leveling.
Yeah, it'd be like,
never knew.
It would be more in line with like your favorite series.
I'm inclined to make this video now. It's just like, this entire game is an isekai. Nika got isekai into Luffy's body.
Maybe people were cooking when they said that Elbaf was a simulation then, right?
It said what was a simulation?
Elbaf.
Oh, Elbaf.
At the beginning, when they were like, oh, it's a hallucination simulation. Like, oh, maybe they were right. Maybe those guys were playing 5D chess. They're over here like in a different dimension, bro. They're looking down at some like ants.
I was a sun god in my past life and I was reincarnated into a stupid kid. Like, just some really...
Oh, dude, you know how crazy it would be if like we get like chapter like -1, because we already have chapter 0. Like chapter -1, Luffy was in our world, then he gets hit by a truck, and that's how he ended up in One Piece. You know how good that would be, bro? And then the entire time Luffy's like, huh, like this is a weird body. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
What if One Piece was an isekai?
It's like in the isekai, as soon as they land, they're like immune to whatever they like were killed by. So like now he's rubber, so he wouldn't have died to the truck.
Oh, and then Emu is the truck driver. That's how it all connects. Emu's the truck driver that hit him.
Dude, we're just cooking. Imagining the thumbnail where it's just Emu, it's just a name tag.
I might actually make that thumbnail just for fun. Not even like a real theory, but just I think it would be just hilarious to have.
That's so funny, dude.
Truck driver Emu.
Truck-kun. Emu's real name is, how do you say truck in Japanese?
They just say Truck-kun, to be honest.
Truck-kun. That's why Emu's going by Musan. Just doesn't want to be called Truck-kun.
Yeah, it's a nickname he has at his job. The Void Sentry is actually just the crazy breaks he takes during his trucking trips.
We see that Emu's it's like Overlord, like Emu's playing a game, you know, like it's just and then they just get sucked in as the Demon Lord. Oh god, we see Emu's full body. It's just a Gundam. Like
I think we cracked the code, man.
I don't know. I think we cracked our brains. Like,
we cracked the code.
I think my psyche's cracked, bro. Like the thing is, I would be in my own comment section. This is the worst theory. Oh god.
So now that Zoro blocked it, Scopper... So there's a couple of things that happens, but let's focus on Zoro first. But Scopper says that Zoro is a fine crewmate. So it looks like maybe Scopper wanted Zoro to block this for Luffy. He wanted to see if Zoro would do anything for his captain. Which I feel like most people would, is that what your
translation says?
Wait, what?
Mine's he's got a fine crew.
Yeah.
That's what Scott. So but you said he said it, he has a like he's a good crewmate. Was it singular or was it plural?
Oh, I mean it's the same thing, right? Good crewmate, fine crew.
Yeah. It was just when you said it, I was just like, damn, imagine, because like then I was like, wait, is that what he said? And then he's got a fine crew. And I was like, that's wild. Like he's just assuming everyone's as strong as Zoro. Like,
I mean, he could be like meaning the entirety of the Straw Hat gang, but since Zoro's the one jumping in, I just single it out to Zoro, right?
Yeah, that makes
like,
sense.
It's not just, like he sees Nami screaming and he's like, whoa, fine crew over there. It's like, all right,
yeah.
Sure.
Or he like sees Zoro and he's like, she must be scary. Like,
yeah. He sees Zoro step in. He's like, he's got a fine crew, but he's thinking of Chopper. It's like,
or he's like, I'm lucky she didn't step in. Like,
oh my god,
he must have stepped in because he's the weakest, right? Like that's
yeah, it'd be kind of silly.
Yeah.
So that happens, and what also happens while this is going down is the tower blows up. They're not even in that tower. You know, keep in mind that the Straw Hats are in the basement, and a tower blows up, which I think is very fascinating. At first, I was like, "Wow, this is crazy," and then we go on. You see this tower fall all the way down to the underworld. You got 2 more panels of it, and I'm like, "This is going to be important." My crazy theory is that inside that tower was Mosa.
Oh.
I think
wild.
I think Mosa was trapped in the tower, and now they're going to be freed. Because, going back to what Loki said...
Yeah, I like that.
...chapters ago, when Loki was talking to Mosa, Loki says that, hey, you must be really bored, implying that Mosa is trapped or can't go somewhere. Like, he's in an area that he can't leave. And I was like, okay, like, that's really strange, right? And then, of course, they were talking about, like, this traumatic event. We don't know what it was talking about. But a lot of people kind of assume that Mosa might have been at the castle or seen something that they shouldn't have, and now they're just locked away. And I'm like, and people don't even know the gender of Mosa, by the way. It's just a guess. People are saying it might be a guy because of the Denden Mushi, but the Denden Mushi is also a snow-resistant one, so that's why it was hairy. But also, Mosa just means shaggy or, hairy in general. So people are assuming it's a guy. It could be a girl. Could have been a girl trapped in a tower, even, which is what this could be.
But they're also a noble, right?
Yeah, they're also a noble. They're a duke. Yeah, they're a duke, so like it would make sense if they were in the castle.
Right. Whereas Rodo, for example, never been there, and I'm assuming most people, but a noble being at the castle would make sense.
Yeah,
at some point, any point, honestly. So
I
that's
think this
awesome.
is Mosa.
I love. So I in my reaction, I skipped this thing, but I remember looking at that. And I was like, this is really interesting. For a different reason, and I didn't elaborate because I didn't want to waste time explaining it. And I went a completely different direction, but it's not exclusive from what you're saying. And I 100% now looking at it, because my emphasis on a different side was okay. So first, yes, the focus of showing the castle fall all the way down is so important. Not only did it fall, like think about the Stein Castle, right? We saw that thing come apart, and but that was because the Straw Hats were there, right? Like it fell down with them. But anytime what we don't see when Zoro's chopped off the Onigashima horn, it's not like we know where that went, right? So seeing it fall down does imply that maybe even if what Sai said as there being a person inside is important, but maybe there is something inside. There's a mark, a teleport, maybe because they went down, right, to whatever. So maybe they dropped and the teleportation thing is over there. There could be a lot of interesting play arounds with this castle being where it is. Whether it's a treasure, whether it's something royal, whether because they are in the treasure tomb that was essentially, everything was taken except for some key things like the key, and what's above it, who knows? Maybe it's the throne room, maybe there's other things, maybe it's Mosa, sure, but it did fall down all the way to Underworld. The placement of it is so insane because Loki is there. He's the only character who's still there, from like an important standpoint, right? We're not talking about like the Makino 2.0. But on the other end of it, my thing was a singular named attack from Scopper completely obliterated an entire tower. And you're to tell me that Loki and the strongest giant on Elbaf got into an all-out battle inside this castle, and it's still intact with 100 other plus warriors. That never made sense to me when I looked at the battle. I'm like, this doesn't look like a battle. It looks like, yeah, there's some things, but you're telling me the strongest giants who are supposed to like strike fear in the rest of the world, Loki, who took on all of Elbaf, the castle's still standing. And I'm looking at Scopper, a singular attack, and it was blocked by Zoro, was able to take out an entire tower. I'm like, if they honestly had a full-blown scale a battle between hundreds of giants in a castle, it wouldn't be this well put together. And that, to me, at minimum, when I was reading this, I was like, that makes that fight even more like weird, because you're like even Scopper said, like, bro, a fight with Loki means mass casualty. There was mass casualty, but the place doesn't look like it. The corpses are perfectly, I don't know if they cleaned it up or whatever, but there's so much of us thinking like this thing, like all of these things that are making us seem like it's a setup but for Loki. This panel is like, you're telling me Scopper in one, he's not even like trying. Well, he's trying. But he's not like, this fight isn't meaningful.
He's not trying to kill him.
Yeah. Versus there's a fight to the death with the strongest guy.
I mean, I think you might be dismissive of a couple of facts.
All right,
like maybe they were fighting and trying to keep the castle intact. Or maybe they were fighting. No. Hear me out. You would love this. As a guy who enjoys Tales of Demons and Gods, you would love this one. But maybe while they're fighting, there's a carpenter in the background fixing up the building.
How is that relevant to Tales of Demons and Gods?
You tell me, Mr. Tales of Demons and Gods. You tell me, expert Chinese man.
I just wanted you to pull out your sponsored script, and it just like has like a carpenter, like something.
I feel so bad. I did not know how to pronounce any of their names. I said Nie Li. I think that's it.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either. Yeah, but yeah, like that. The whole like
they bought the rights to that video too, so like. You could see me, you could see me like randomly on like a stupid Facebook ad saying, Tales of Demons and Gods. Like, that'd be so fun, bro. Yeah.
No, I've seen other ones.
I would love to be a meme
I've been
like
waiting.
that.
I've scrolled through so many just to find the one where you're in.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so many things. I think, especially now that you added that perspective of where it fell, this whole thing is, I think like I'm past the tipping point of like the fight.
You're at the shaft point.
Yeah, this is the V card is gone. Like, it's gone. There's something there. Like, we already didn't like Ja Rule. His whole position there. We called him Biden. He probably had dementia, forgot about what actually happened. None of what he said made sense. King Harold's sword is in his goddamn head. Like, that doesn't make sense. But now it's like they had a full scale war in this thing, and the castle's intact. Sure, cool, yeah. Like, that doesn't make sense. King, you're telling me the strongest giant in quote unquote history is able to fight to the death and just die, and not break a few towers? No, that doesn't make sense. Absolutely not. With Scopper is not that much. There's no way you can convince me that this Scopper is that much stronger. Like,
here's one thing too. Going back to the Mosa point, I feel like if Mosa was in that tower, it would make a lot of sense as well, because we know that Mosa got a Denden Mushi to Loki. We don't know how, right? It just, Loki has Mosa's Denden Mushi. They've never met. Maybe dropped it from the tower, and it just landed in the underworld. I mean, it lands in the underworld right here, right? Maybe that's how he got to him.
Yeah, do we see? No, we don't see its like proximity to the tree. I know you like to say that the tree is only 50 meters tall. But the space,
it's a good theory I got from you.
Yeah. I mean, it is posted on my channel, so I do have to own what you have said. But But yeah, it is interesting. At least, like, let's say Mosa is dropping the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because there's two things that ran in my head. I was like, damn, that snail walked mad far. It probably died by the end. By the time it got to, that's the end of its life. It probably took like 7 months to get there. But then also, I'm thinking like maybe Mosa started adding spin to it so that it like rotates and falls closer to Loki, and Loki's like coaching him each time, like, oh, you were further this time. Most is like, all right, I'll put backspin on it this time, like have you seen those videos where they drop like a basketball off the Hoover Dam, right? Like, and they just like put backspin and the shit goes like miles ahead. So cool. But yeah, I like the idea though, because I would imagine there's not many places that you could just like casually just drop things and they just like go through. Yeah. I mean, like, sure there are, because like, yeah, like you go to the edge of the sun realm. Yeah. But like, this is like in the middle. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's not just like holes all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, that it's just that easy from a building standpoint, where it's like you have a building. Like, if you destroyed the Walrus Academy, does it just fall down too? Like, honestly, then that's just stupid on the Giants' part for building it like that. But, but yeah, I do agree with the Mosa take.
Also,
minimum.
I gotta say, since this castle is so close to the party, I'm still shocked that none of the Giants have noticed. I mean, I guess we don't see the party here, but I like to imagine Usopp or one of the Giants are like, whoa, like, do you see that explosion in that Forbidden Castle?
Wait, no, Sai, are you forgetting the after effects of the incognito, never aware lightning summoning teleportation?
Oh, you're
cloak?
right. Yeah, what we're talking about.
It lasts 7 chapters, obviously.
Yeah, the Giants just maybe they all blinked in unison and they missed it.
Yeah. That
could be it
too. And there's you didn't read the SBS where it's like when you drink your observation hockey turns off?
No, I didn't read that SBS.
Yeah,
you might have to make
Gabon,
a video about it and cover it on your channel.
Yeah, Scopper. I'll use AI to perfectly reflect your sentiments on that too.
Yeah, thank you. Do you know AI is getting crazy? I mean, I'm sure you've kept up with it, but like, even as far as YouTube comments go, have you seen that you can respond to YouTube comments with AI?
Yes.
And they're actually accurate. Like, people would comment One Piece things. I don't use it, but I like check it out sometimes. And sometimes AI will literally cook up a theory based off the chapter and comment. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, bro.
There's been some good ones.
It's insane.
Been some good ones. Yeah. I think
AI theories, man.
Accounts. Yeah. Like the shorts, AI theory shorts. And you know that like AI theory, because it's they'll put up like a panel or a scene and it's not what happened in the scene at all. It's like when the AI
yesterday. Wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm waiting for them to like get 100% of videos right, but like, I mean, to be fair, like, people will watch a video and they'll just interpret it wrong completely. But the AI will be like, this lady was parking her car into another person on a highway. It's like, no, the person ran over.
No. They wanted to censor it, right? Parking into somebody is better than running them over. It's not advertiser friendly.
AI could interpret it that way because they would go like frame by frame interpretation. So like the car would be stopped and it would be hitting the person. So they'd be looking at it as a parked thing versus a moving object. But yeah, then the AI got patched to interpolate like 3 frames at a time or some shit like that. But yeah, AI is
getting crazy. So we see Luffy and Zoro, they're getting serious. Now that Yasan has destroyed the tower, now that this is all going down, Zoro whips out the 3 sword style, the black lightning even, and then Luffy goes gear 5th. He's holding the axe, which is kind of funny, right? Like, Luffy using an axe, like, I feel like he would just punch anyways, like he did at Wano. And also, the hat once again merges with Luffy's head, so it looks like he has horns. Super cool design. What's your takeaway from this? I think we talked about a little bit on your stream as well, but about how maybe if Luffy wears the straw hat would merge with his head, which would be really cursed. But like, do you have any new ideas with this? How do you feel about them going all out? Do you think it's justified? What's up?
Yeah, I think the only part that was odd to me was the part where it's like I never want to see you again, because like Zoro and Luffy like fighting strong
Oh, at the
people.
very end.
Yeah, and like so, like I'm not an issue, right? Like, but like even being pissed off by him, I feel like they're like, damn, like because they jumped in, took it seriously, pulled out Gear 5. I like Luffy literally came out of an imprisoned a prison in Elbaf and was crossing a bridge in a new island, and it's like, I smell strong, and just started running at it. And like Zoro was like, me too. Like it's like, oh, or like I'm not gonna stop him. I smell strong too, right? Like he literally ran at strong, and this is it. He's seeing strong, and like sure he drops his axe, whatever, but it's like he doesn't even want to like not, I get like, not who are you or anything like that. Obviously, like even that wouldn't be even like something that Scopper would answer. But like the why would I never want to see you again? And then that's right, you moron. Thanks for the key, but there's no way we're gonna seek you out anytime soon.
I think it makes
and it's
sense.
like, for me, I'm just like I get why, like if whatever they have a different prerogative on a mission here, but I never want to see you again. It's interesting because like I feel like Luffy's like I want to fight you, old man. You're strong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why aren't you fighting? You could, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be really fun or exciting. And I feel like that's something that Luffy would say. It felt like momentarily interesting, but also what Scopper said before. I was like, wait, what? What is this?
Yeah.
If Elbaf is still safe by the time you decide to leave, come find me. I'm like,
yeah.
Are you not gonna help? Like,
yeah. After Luffy and Zoro go like in their modes, I would say, like Scopper, like you said, he just gives up, right? Kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but Scopper just gives up. He throws down the axes, and yeah, he says all of this stuff. And I think it makes sense as to why Luffy's mad, or like they don't want to see him again. And it's just because like he's yanking their chain, you know? Like typically when you see a strong opponent, you fight all the way through, but like Scopper literally stopped and they had to like hit the wall.
Yeah, then that's why I get being mad, but not like I never want to see you again is like a different, like I don't, has he ever to any, I don't even think he said that.
That's something Roger would say, to be honest.
Something Roger say, really?
Yeah, like I mean, feel like we don't have a lot of Roger scenes, but I feel like Roger's more brash like that. Like especially last chapter where we saw Roger and Scopper arguing. It's like, yeah, I could see like this being something Roger would say. Like maybe Luffy's getting more mature, maybe he's getting more annoyed. I think in a way, it's like it's an odd thing of growth, and also, this could just be like a translation thing, right? Because we're just looking at TCB.
True.
So maybe it eases up a little bit.
Because like for me, like, and there is I like you saying it would be like a Roger thing, because like I could see when Roger could say it, especially because but like with Roger, right? The reason why I could see Roger saying it is because like he had a timeline, right? Like he's like, I don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that perspective adds to why I never want to see you again, because you're just like wasting my time. You're not even fun to fight or whatever, right? But Roger also was like, just took a detour. I want to fight this random samurai guy that I saw in the newspaper. This shit's hella strong, right? Like Roger is like, yeah, fuck yeah, let me do that. You know, like that's Roger, right? So even in that scope, I don't even like, even with the
but
rocks,
to be
right?
fair,
like,
I mean, Scopper didn't want to fight, right?
Right. But with Luffy, right? I never want to see you again. I feel like even with the most heinous villains, I feel like Luffy wouldn't even say that to like Doflamingo or Crocodile or no. I never want to see you again. Like I don't even think he'd say that shit to them, or Kaido or whatever. It'd be more like I'll beat your ass next time too, right? Like the same thing he said to Lucci, right? Like I don't like, that's where it's like, even with Lucci, right? Like him if Luffy would be standing over Lucci's corpse and then being like, and if you come back for Robin again, I'll beat you at he wouldn't say I never want to see you again. He'd be like, if you come back, you'll be sorry that you came back, right? That's more of like Luffy's steez. It's like, I'm gonna be so strong you won't even want to come back. I want to see you again so you can feel weak. Like that's what he said to Lucci.
Yeah, I feel like this is more just a gag.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything super deep about it.
I feel like it's more of putting more weight on what Scopper said, because for me, what Scopper said was more interesting, because as a lot of people put it, it's like foreboding for Elbaf in general. So like that, I feel like that's why Oda chose this dialogue for it. It's not Straw Hat focused, it's more Elbaf Scopper focused. And you could come to some conclusions off of what he's saying, like for example what Louis Arnaud said, like staying on Elbaf too long, etc. Like if it's still safe, right? Like what does that mean? We don't know. Or it could be like the Ragnarok type of thing, or Celestial Dragon type of thing. But the thing is, like, Scopper doesn't know about the Holy Night. He literally came here to ascertain what's happening, right? He said I felt strange hockey, which I guess he wouldn't be like I felt Holy Nights, right?
Whether or not he also sees the magic circle too, right? It was in the throne room. So I bet Scopper...
That's true.
Yeah, I think Scopper does know the God Knights are here, so that's why he's leaving. I think that's also why he doesn't want to say who he is yet. Like, that would be too much of a time waster. And it also goes back to why he doesn't want to fight anymore, right? We kind of skipped over him, like, quitting, but, like, he saw the white form, he saw what he wanted, he saw that he has a good crewmate, that they're strong, and he called it quits. I think he knows that he has to get going right away, and that's why. I think he's going to ascertain, or going to see, like, where these guys went. Because he was at Cod Valley. He knows about magic circles. You know, he was with Roger. Surely he's seen this before. So he knows that something bad is happening here, which is why he says if Elbaf is still safe, come find me.
Yeah. I just realized in my reaction, I was kind of dumb in the sense that, like, you know, at least actually, no, in the reaction, it's not that dumb, but afterwards it is to continue. But we didn't talk too much about this part rather than like the Holy Night stuff, was that like, Scopper can't sit back. He can't be passive because of what happens next. And by this point in the chapter, we already kind of know what happens next. Is that the Holy Knights are going for the kids. So he cannot be safe, or he cannot be passive because they're going for his wife and kids. Ripley and his son are both there. So he has to fight. He has to confront them.
Yeah, he has to do something.
Yeah. So like, whether he doesn't know that that's what their goal is, whether or not he knows who they are based off the circle. He was at God Valley. I'm assuming that there was probably some circles there. If they hadn't experienced it at any other point in their life, sure, whatever. But yeah, after, like, if Elbaf is still safe by the time you decide to leave, come find me. At first in reaction, I was saying like, oh damn, like, is he just not gonna do anything? The Strats are gonna do stuff, but it literally makes absolutely no sense for him to not do anything, because he is the most invested person actually to what's happening next in the chapter of anybody, I think. And
then the thing with Scopper too is that maybe we could say that he thought the Straw Hats did the hockey, right? Let's say he didn't see the giant magic circle in the throne room he was sitting in. Maybe during this fight with Luffy, he was waiting for them to release their hockey, which, we did see, right? Gear 5th, Zoro, right. Hockey came out. Maybe he saw that and he was like, okay, this is not what I sensed. I got to go somewhere else.
That's true.
Maybe that's why I called it quits. Like, this whole fight was to see if these guys were the source. He confirmed they're not the source of hockey. Gotta go somewhere else.
You know what? I like that so much that he's like, I don't know, these motherfuckers might have had magic circles. I don't know what the kids are up to these days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like, back in my day, this was just like a Celestial Dragon weird shit thing. So, but who knows what these kids are up to? I've just been sitting up here with Ripley and Colin, colonoscopy. So like, yeah, no, you're right. Like, this, he could have just been. He wanted to. The whole point of the fight was to pull out their hockey to sense them. That's a really great. It doesn't even have to be that, but if Oda never tells us, that's a great filler explanation of why he just dropped it. Saw the hockey. He's like, "Yep, not it. I gotta go figure out what this is because it's a threat." Like, unassigned hockey is definitely a threat in the throne room.
Yeah.
Who could be here? Well, the Straw Hats are here, so could it be them? Well, no, I just confirmed it's not them, so now I'd go figure out who else this is. Also, because he's probably charged with some sort of responsibility over the throne room, given that Shanks his involvement with Loki / Scopper's involvement with Elbaf. Like, he is, like I said, invested, but also probably invested to the point where he knew where the key was. You know, he was at first fronting the key, right? And he also had a thing where it's like, you know, people brought up this point too, where it's like, the fact that he just gave over the key could be, you could look at it as Loki was innocent and Scopper knows. You could look at it that way. And Shanks taking care of Loki was kind of like a forced situation. Like he did it for a good reason, for a situation. But it wasn't necessarily that Loki was entirely bad. But as far as Shanks and Scopper being third party coming onto Elbaf, what place would they have? How would they even prove that Loki's innocent, right? They wouldn't even be able to. So, like, they would just have to solve the situation there. It could be a bunch of stuff like that. Or it could be that, like, oh, Loki didn't steal the fruit. It was actually Cypher Pole. I'm going to go steal it and prove it. And then when Luffy ate it, he could no longer prove it to Elbaf that Loki was innocent. It could be something like that too. I actually really like that idea now. That Shanks was stealing it to bring it back to Elbaf to prove Loki's innocence, but Luffy ate it. And so because Luffy ate it, Loki was locked up the entire time. Like, man, that could be it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
And he just wanted confirmation. I think that's the glory of the Scopper fight and like why he quit and like the moment and when he quit. Like, I feel like there's a lot of right answers here. Like, I've seen people saying, "Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that," but honestly, like, they could all be true. Like, that's the thing. Like, yeah, we don't have to put Scopper in one box. Like, there's a lot of reasons. So Scopper heads off. Road tries to say who he is, but he's like, no, Road, don't do this right now. Like, I gotta hit the road. And that is when we get a little Shanks Scopper flashback. Nothing too crazy, right? They're just saying, hey, like, honestly, Shanks, I'm not gonna trust him just because you vouch for him. And then he says, do as you please. And then, of course, we see now that Scopper, after meeting Luffy for like what seems to be two minutes, he now trusts Luffy, which is nice, right? Luffy has that ability to gather allies, gather friends. He's charismatic. And one thing I noticed is that Scopper's drinking sake in that panel. And also the chair he's sitting in is regular sized. So that's definitely Scopper's house, which is kind of fun. But also, I wonder if the sake he's drinking is from Shanks. Because you know that when Shanks visited Whitebeard, he was like, hey, here's, sake from my hometown. Maybe he did the same thing with Scopper, which, minor point, but I thought it was cool nonetheless. We go on and we see...
Bink sake.
Could be. Could Binks. Next, we go to Walrus Academy. We see the kids and Ange. The kids are saying, Ange, look up, there's a weird bird. Ange looks up, and believe it or not, there is no bird there. I thought that was very fascinating. You guys know me as the number one Ange hater. I thought it was fascinating that Ange is just oblivious to everything that's going on. And honestly,
you didn't say you're a hater. You just think that she's evil, but you like.
Yeah, evil. I mean both. Ange being evil, I think, is backed up in this chapter, right? I'm sure we all see this, or should I say, Ange doesn't see it. I think she definitely took her time coming over to the window and looking up because she didn't want to give away the Holy Knight, God Knight position. So we got to keep an eye on Ange. I think come next chapter, she could just be, killing the kids, kidnapping the kids for the Celestial Dragons, preparing them. Like, imagine, skipping to the very end, the Celestial Dragons want to make a game out of this whole thing. Imagine they get to the playroom and Ange already won the game. Like they're like, imagine Shamrock describing how the points are going to go. Like, if you capture, somebody 7 through 10, 1,000 points. Somebody 5 through 2, 200 points. And then Ange is right there. They open the door. They see Ange sitting down on the desk, hands crossed, fingers popping, sword on her back. All the kids are already gagged and, held hostage. And she says, well, that must mean I have 1 million points. I win. I mean, that's exactly what happened in Tales of Demons and Gods.
We get the reveal that she's the math teacher.
Yeah. Librarian, a.k.a. math teacher. Yeah.
She goes, well, let me give you a math problem. How many points do I have with this?
And then she points riddle me this. Ooh, and then the God Knights are like, how'd you do that? And then she says, well, I'm not just the librarian. I'm not just the math teacher. I'm also the PE coach.
I thought you were gonna say the half-blooded prince, like some crazy.
No. I still think Ange is like the half-blooded prince or princess, whatever, but That's a theory for a different day. I think Ange is just an evil bastard.
My real name is Angraboda.
My real name is Hela. Yeah, I don't know, just something
wild thing.
Yeah, I'm actually Odin.
Takes off a mask. She looks like she's actually just Ripley in a mask.
Yeah. Oh, maybe she's
Ripley's
Kronos.
twin brother.
Kronos.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What if it's just Harold? Is this Harold in his Sukiyaki? His Sukiyaki era. Yeah.
Just see if hard. This is a certified Par vision theory. I wouldn't go that far.
It was just a quota.
Quota. We had to bring up Sukiyaki.
Yeah, we forgot earlier.
I was thinking about how to bring Sukiyaki up during the cover page, but I couldn't. So I'm glad you brought it up now. But yeah, like maybe this is it.
I wanted to say, do you think Sukiyaki would enjoy this? But I was like, that's too far.
Do you think Sukiyaki would enjoy killing Ulti? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just the games.
Oh, the games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when it
not
comes
even
to
out of revenge,
the Beast Pirates, do you think it would be acceptable if Wano executed every single Beast Pirate afterwards?
I mean, I don't want to play into the community here, but they said all that shit about Orochi. I'm like, what about the Beast Pirates, bro? You're going to say the Born to Burn. The Beast Pirates are literally eating in your face and poisoning you at the same breath. And they're the only
reason why Orochi had power. Honestly, bro, if you catch my ass in Wano after that fight, I'd be like, hey, guys, I get it, right? Putting him in the jail is cool, but can we just, kill him so we don't have to worry about this tomorrow? What if they break out?
And the nuance stance is that, at a certain point, you could look at Orochi's thing and be like, damn, we basically genocided them. We hunted them down.
Yeah.
And so maybe that was kind of their what were they supposed to do? We didn't let them live. Yeah. And Orochi so versus the Beast Pirates just show up on an island. And Drake as an example, right? He's came to think and burn down Amigasa village. What reason did he have to do that other than Kaido?
Yeah, Orochi had Kaido revenge. Wanted him. Kaido just wanted slaves.
No, Kaido. I think Kaido wanted. There was people that he needed to punish, 3 swordsmen or something like that.
Yeah,
people and strong people. And instead of capturing those people and torturing them and executing them, he burns down the village. It's what? Oh, Drake! What? Sword is wild.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta remember, man. Sword at any point, they're not a part of the Marines, so
yeah, but fair. That's not even. That seemed like.
And you have to remember, the people he's doing it to, they're not affiliated with the world government, so no repercussions, right? Yeah.
So that's where it's he has the.
That's like Westworld over there. You can do whatever.
He has, but Kobe would be oh, these are people too. Sword is Drake is when do I apply the Cypher Pole 0? He's just
Kobe, check it. They're not affiliated with the world government. Are they really people?
Yeah. Yeah, Kobe's listening in, Drake's giving him the intel, and Kobe's you did what?
And then you hear people screaming in the background, Drake, stop! I have a family! Please, I'm pregnant. And Drake just kills
Kobe's
him.
Just what are you doing? He's don't worry, Kobe. They're not affiliated with us. We don't have to worry about them.
I just built this house. Drake, please. He sets it on fire.
Yeah, just had no reason to have any. Why did he burn down the place?
He's a dedicated spy. I mean, you gotta admit, he was a good spy. He really integrated himself with the Beast Pirates. But yeah, overall, man, get these Beast Pirates out of here. I mean, speaking of traitors too, I mean, Ange, right? I still, jokes aside, I know this chapter makes it seem like Ange is a good person. I still have a feeling that Ange is bad. I'm gonna say it right here. I'm gonna stick to my guns. I feel like I gotta go down with the ship on this one. I can't backtrack. It's too late to leave. Ange is gonna be I mean, look at the panel where Ange is huh? Well, you see her nose? It's sticking out like Usopp. You see that? Usopp, if you break down his name, Usopp means lie. And then, of course, Oda combined it with Aesop from Aesop's Fables. So, yeah, that's how we got Usopp, right? Lie and Aesop Fables. Usopp. Ange also has the same nose. What are we saying about her? Is she lying? Yeah. Is she Pinocchio? I think so. I think honestly, if you compare the panel where Ange says, huh, and then the panel where she looks up and says she didn't see anything, the nose gets a little bit bigger. So it kind of is like she's Pinocchio. Where's all those black lightning, like, ruler scalers when you need them? Measure Angie's nose.
And also, her name has A, which is most likely from Aesop.
Antithesis.
Yeah. Oh, wow, Sai. We both at the same time came up with incredible points. It's funny because, like, for me, I think, like, even separate from your frame, what would I influence your influential,
my psychopathic aura.
Because you're an influencer. Like, you've pushed a lot of people on the Ange train. That's a crazy train to be on, but or part of. But even aside from that, I've leaned more towards there's something fishy. My favorite part about it is the secretary angle, where Oda's just always made the secretary, like, besides Alice, Iceberg's new younger, like 7-year-old secretary, but like Alpha, Khalifa, and now this, it's like, even to a certain extent, Robin for Crocodile, right? Robin was essentially like his secretary, and she was a traitor to him. You know what I mean? She wasn't really a part of any of the organizations at the end of the day. She was just trying to,
you can even look at Hiyori like that too. Hiyori and Koshiro. Mm-hmm, they betrayed Orochi.
Yeah, and then Denjiro in his role there, like you're the right hand, right? Like that Oda has made an interesting play with like that, but when it comes to that Ange situation, this chapter didn't really shift me too much which direction. I could see where it's an innocent thing. I could see where Oda's like emphasizing her place more, maybe possibly because he's aware of how he's portraying Ange and he wants to play on it more. And I could see it as her being really suspicious, right? She just happens to miss the thing. So it's like, but like when it comes to like missing the bird or whatever, I don't even like, because then it's because the only reason to miss it the main reason in my mind to miss it would be in a situation where the other people could hold you accountable. Whereas the kids wouldn't really be, if it was like Ripley was there and Ripley was like, "Hey, do you see that? What is that?" And I was like concerned, and it's like, "Oh, like I don't see anything." You know what I mean? Because then it's like de-escalating Ripley's awareness of a situation. Whereas with the kids, it's like, it's a bird. And even if they saw the bird and the bird went away, it's just a bird. You know what I mean? And it's not like the kids or whatever would, one way or the other, but like, it's not like there's people to hold her accountable in this situation that would apply later on, which is why it's like the suspicion route doesn't even like, doesn't factor too much as far as like, it being so crazy that like this is the main reason to suspect her as a villain, right? I think there's like 10 different other things that are like that's like A tier evidence that she's a antagonist or a spy or whatever. This one's kind of like, if at most, it'd be like a C for me. But I could see it being that. I just, it wouldn't be the biggest thing. But I do find it interesting how Oda goes from she's not on screen, even when she could be, and then she's like
making
just
appearances,
focused.
bro.
Yeah, I do find that's interesting.
Also,
too.
I think we see another teacher in that panel with Ange, where they say, "What's all the hubbub?" Right? It looks like a monkey man.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. That is not an 8-year-old.
Yeah,
that is some busted ass Santa Claus looking dude. That's
like
crazy.
A dwarf monkey thing.
Yeah. I don't know who was more offensive, me or you. So busted ass Santa Claus, weird dwarf monkey things.
I mean, they're both true.
They're both true.
Yeah,
I want just like when Oda draws a scribble, it's like a Rorschach test. Like,
what do you see?
You could diagnose our autisms based off of like.
I see darkness.
Oh God.
So we go over and we see what the kids saw, and it was actually Gunko's bird. They land near the school. It looks like a little bit above the school, kind of cool, on a branch above. And Gunko ends up using a summoning. She throws down her hands, clenches her fist a little bit. Well, half clenches, almost. Pentagram shows up. Black lightning shoots down, which again, it's crazy that nobody notices this, especially since this is right above the school. Like, the kids are still looking up, right? Like, the kids and Ange are still looking up. Black lightning strikes. Scopper, by the way, must have sensed this because Scopper sensed the lightning at the castle. So it probably sensed this. He's on his way. Love it, love it. And we see two people popping out. They got silhouette. They're like the Gorosei silhouettes, you know? One guy says, I understood. I don't mind going. And then the other one says, just tell me where we're leaving from. And then he follows it up by saying, the abyss will be where now? Kind of like they're telling him it's going to like spawn on you or something.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the reveal of the amazing Saint Sommers. Love this guy. And then as far as you go, I bet your favorite one is Saint Killingham because you love those Chinese comics. And you said, I remember in the stream, you said they always use the Killing as like a reference point. He's always in every series. And now we have it in One Piece. You love that. Dude, you ate it up. You were slobbering on that knob.
I actually can't disagree on that one.
Yeah, you know, Par actually likes this. It's so bad he can't even disagree. And honestly, like, I love the designs, man. I think all the Holy Knights so far have been A+. Like, their designs are great. So first up, let's start with Sommers. You know, obviously in his boxers, in his wife beater, he's not dressed, he's not ready for battle. He got spawned in with his...
What is he wearing?
Boxers and wife beater.
A wife beater?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
In 2025 side?
Yeah,
not
dude.
An A shirt?
No, dude. What? Who the...
Damn, dude.
Who calls it an A shirt?
Clearly you don't shop. Oh, you don't do your own shopping.
Yeah, so I don't shop at Shein.
I don't
shop at Temu.
Buy everything. You get your wife to do all your clothes shopping. That explains why you're so well dressed too. Makes sense. Yeah, no, it's called an A shirt. You go to Walmart where you typically
nobody
buy
calls
these,
it an
like,
A shirt, bro.
10 for like $40 because they just keep getting. It's an A shirt, bro.
It's not an A shirt, man.
You think okay? What do you think Oda calls it? What do they call it in Japan?
I'm sure there's like a cool name.
Beater.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that. The waifu beater. They say it with like the accent.
This is an Uniqlo. Just that would be
Would
crazy.
you like a white wife beater?
The thing is, like, I agree to a certain extent that like nobody calls it an A shirt, but I remember being shocked. This is when I was like mad. I was probably like 16, 17, or no, I forget how old, but started getting my own clothes and stuff because I could drive and whatever and things like that, and like paying attention to shit, buying shit on my own. And what the hell's an A shirt? Well, I'm looking for a wife beater. I was like, because that's what it's called. And I was like, I remember having like an epiphany. I was just like, oh my God. Like, yeah, they couldn't just be selling wife beaters. That'd be so crazy.
You know, it'd be so funny is if like, I feel like there could be like a South Park episode about this, but when you go to a store and say you want a wife beater, instead of taking you to the shirts, it just takes you to an aisle of guys.
Yeah, it takes you to the manager. Like,
like the manager of the store shows up. You ask for a wife beater, huh? Where is she?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Shout outs. Par loves domestic abuse.
He's wearing a wife beater, and the stereotype doesn't fare well because he's also wearing heart underwear. That's like the trope, right? Of drunk, abusive. Do you think he's married?
I bet he has like multiple wives. I mean, these are celestial dragons, right? Like god knights. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he probably has kids too.
Yeah.
Do you think we've seen his kids, like just unnamed celestial dragons in the background, like the one shouting at Akainu? Nah. But Saint Sommers, what? I didn't let you finish the description. Go on.
Oh yeah. He spawned in with his furniture, his chest, his wardrobe. Really cool. I mean, I don't know how any of that passed through the abyss. Somebody says that because it came here, they must be marked, like he marked it beforehand. But we don't really know how that works yet. Maybe like because he's directly touching it, it gets spawned in with him. Unsure. He also has a crazy tattoo on his left arm. I've seen a lot of theories about this. People are saying that could be the marking of flames. It could be the mark of the abyss. It could just be a cool tattoo. Don't really know yet. Nothing's been confirmed, but all in all, it looks like a really solid design. He also has a cross on his chin as well. And he also hails from the Shepherd family. I was about to say Jupiter. The Shepherd family. So he's related to Jupiter in some which way. Could be an uncle, could be a dad, could be a son even, cousin. Not too sure on that relationship. As far as Shamrock and Garling and Shanks goes, oh yeah, father, son, sure, why not? But for this one, it's more ambiguous because the Gorosei also age really weirdly, right? We had Saturn, who was 200 plus years old. We don't know how old Jupiter is. Is he 40? Is he 5,000? Is he like a 1 million year old vampire? Not too sure. But yeah, what do you like about Sommers?
Also, adding to the age part is that we've seen the normal aging of other celestial dragons. Like a Doflamingo he's not considered one, but he has all the inner makings of one, and he ages normally. Mosgard ages normally. As far as his appearance changed, but he aged, right? So it might be that just the Gorosei are locked and he's actually older. And we don't even understand really how the role essentially gets passed on. It doesn't seem like nepotism because we jumped a few guns and said if Jupiter has family and one of them is a god knight, it's likely that the other Gorosei have family or children. I do like that stipulation because that wasn't something that was on the front of my mind. I was just saying this is Jupiter's son. But you're right. It could be that he's actually older. It could be that older in the sense of biological, you know what I mean? Versus, he's whatever. But I don't know if it's we don't also it's also weird because if Jupiter's locked in an age. Wait, Jupiter's also. No, Jupiter's the long one. It's no, Jupiter's the younger one, right? Jupiter's the younger one, right? The Sanji's dad?
Yeah, it's that guy.
Yeah. That's also another reason why the age thing is weird, because he also seemed like the newer Gorosei. And now that we have it confirmed that Gorosei can be replaced, it's an odd place to be in where that guy looks younger, but we don't know from what era he's from, and this guy looks older, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he is the older. It could be that he is his son, but his dad was just locked in age much younger. So a lot of interesting things on the age. On the teleportation part, the interesting thing about the couch and furniture thing is that he's not touching the chest that comes along with him. The clothes,
maybe his musk is.
His what?
His musk.
Musk from what? What do you musk like?
His wife beater.
Okay.
But his aura.
You're musky because you're in you just it's what was he just doing?
Ooh, or maybe Gunko knew that he needed clothes, so she teleported that with him.
And it also explains why she's blushing, because she also knew that he was undressed, so she saw it ahead of time.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. As far as Sommers appearance wise, I think he looks cool in a weird way. I feel like I got Full Metal Alchemist vibes a little bit randomly from his appearance. I don't know if it's because he's a pastor looking dude, and I don't know if that's related to Full Metal Alchemist like that, but I mean it is, but not I don't know if that's the correlation of why I got those vibes. But he also gives a church, he leads a church sermon or something like that, all that. And as far as the introduction, I like the introduction. I like the dialogue, everything. It's all pretty cool. They're pretty normal, straightforward, fun, normal, interestingly diverse as well. We have Shamrock, who's kind of a throwaway in my opinion because it's just Shanks, right? Obviously very cool, younger guy, probably strong. Then we have a girl, who's not a saint, with bandage powers. Interesting. or arrow powers that manifest in an interesting way. Then we have a Kirin, a mythical whatever. Some guy, the Shams' sword is a mythical dog. Then we have a normal looking dude who's older. And my anime instincts tells me that this is this guy. It's always this guy who has the most ridiculous BS, like, period.
Saint Sommers?
He has some... Yeah, like, because... Kirin, you'd think that Kirin is the crazy one of the two, but it's probably Sommers. Like, it's always the unsuspecting guy.
People are calling this guy a Frankie opponent. How do you feel about that?
So when I first saw it, I thought it was Frankie's dad. I was like, dude, this guy's Frankie, and it's because the hairy leg underwear motif thing that I was like, but I thought it was because that was his thing. I didn't realize that he came in naked. Like, he came in like post goon session or some shit like that, or like pre goon session. So yeah, and like it could be a Frankie thing. He has like the body work of like what Frankie could have been like, but a Frankie opponent, sure. I don't see why.
Do you think Frankie could be him? And of course, it's like a rough guess. Like, we don't know what this guy can do, right? Like, it's just like based on appearance, based on vibes. Could Frankie beat Saint Sommers?
Is it possible? Yes, because anything's possible. Does it make sense? No, I don't think. That's just. I don't know. Like, I feel like the Holy Knights are going to be insane. I feel like it's also validated when Shams like is like with your power, our power, whatever. Like, he kind of like substantiates that they are significantly powerful in a way, you know what I mean? Like a respectable amount, or their ability just as hacks or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something along those lines. So yeah, I don't think the Frankie would win, current Frankie at least. Who knows about late game Frankie? But if it's on Elbaf, nah, I feel like the Holy Knights should be like, are they above. Stronger than Luffy? No. But yeah, they shouldn't be like not dog walk. But like, okay, so saying that like it's an opponent for Frankie would mean that Luffy like dog walks them. And like, yeah, maybe he's hand over head stronger than each one of these, or besides Shams. But that wouldn't mean that they're like Frankie opponents yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think Luffy, okay, this is going to sound disrespectful, but like in that fight, when Luffy talked to Lucci, he kind of said like, I am significantly stronger than you. So I'm confident that in all situations I beat you, so you can't go after my Nakama after that, right? So I'm going to set you free because I'm that confident. And Lucci on his own assessed it and is like, man, probably like 99 times out of 100, I lose to this guy, right? I kind of, it's kind of like that, where it's just like, yeah, like I feel like most on a 1v1, each one of them besides Shams loses to Luffy that many times. Does that mean that they're weak? No. But it doesn't mean that they are Luffy level? No. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. But I am curious about his powers because we don't see it here, but we do see it very close. He has that thorn sword which is also in a weird spot. Usually it's like a masochist guy who like holds the thing and it makes him have more pain, or his blood is needed for his sword or something like that. But like, it's on the guard, and that in and of itself, he has the rose, all that stuff. And I know but like there's other relevant things at that time when we get that reveal. So I am curious. His name is Sommers, Shepherd family. Yeah. All cool.
Yeah, skipping ahead a little bit, like you said, he gets dressed, he has a thorn blade, and it's all looking really cool. I do wonder if his thorn blade will actually transform, kind of like the Cerberus, right? There's always that chance. Yeah. There's also a chance that he can transform too, right? Like, when it comes to the Gorsei, they're all transformations. Not exactly described to be a devil fruit yet. Shamrock's sword can transform. We have the Killingham here who transforms as well. And it's like, I wouldn't be shocked if Sommers transforms too. Like, I mean, at this point, I feel like they all will have one, except for Gunko. Gunko does seem like the rare exception, which we'll get to here in a second. But next up, we have Saint Killingham, who apparently it's supposed to be a play on Kirin. That's why, like, whenever you go to certain translation sites, before Killingham or with the Q, it was Killingham with the K, and then there was also Gillingham with the G. But overall, they all, convey the same message. This is supposed to be a Kirin, or a play on words of that. We got the transformation here. He has the Celestial Dragon Bubble. He has a respirator gas mask thing going on. He also has a trident, again, another unique blade. Kind of like St. Summers and kind of like Shamrock, right? So will that blade transform? Is it a Supreme Grade one? We asked that about Scopper, we'll ask that about Summers, and we'll ask that about this guy. Because as we're nearing the end of One Piece, we start, we kind of need to, like, round out who has what. Right? Oda can't just, like, leave the mysterious, 8 or 9 blades up there in the clouds forever. So yeah, maybe this is another one of those situations where we come to find out that, he does have a Supreme Grade. But either way, your favorite transformation is here. He has the white clouds as well, meaning that he is possibly awakened, right? Kind of like Luffy. How do you feel about him in general?
Before that, I also want to point out, this is an example where Oda did wordplay with English. And I know people are like, but Oda's Japanese. It's like, look, it's English wordplay. You know what I mean? Like, Oda literally went to a Chinese mythology of the Kirin and did wordplay with an English name, and created this, like, cool situation in a Japanese story as a Japanese speaker. It's not impossible, especially considering what we've seen of him. And it's just like I'm just saying this is like a laundry list of examples when the comment comes in, but Par, this is so much English wordplay. It's like, yeah, because Oda does, like, he wrote Laugh Tale in English. Like, what are we talking about? Like, literally in English. Like, that's a cornerstone of the series. And he straight up alphabetical, like that. It's not katakana, not anything, straight up English. And so if it's that important in the series, you gotta wonder, like, you know what I mean? In One Piece, like the title, you know what I mean? Actually, but yeah. Point is that that's a very important thing. But as far as the character, I'm very excited. I love this entity. I mean, the Kirin gets associated with lightning a lot, which gets, like, overblown because you have now Zeus, and
I feel like you could just be like lightning fast.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. To spin on that, Luffy could throw lightning. So, like, does this guy even matter for that? The other part about Kirins, and I still haven't, like, had the time to, like, really, like, de-fictionify what the Kirin is, because as Sai has stated, I've been swamped in other series that give you fictional viewpoint of this. But the horn is really important, to the point where, like, the staff is, like, resemblant of, like, a Kirin horn. And we talked about it, the long neck. Yeah, it doesn't sound like the Kirin is like a chimeric deer, essentially, is what I saw. And so the horn is like an antler. Cool. So why does he have a long neck? Well, we also, and, like, I think you brought it up, like, the Kirin was Kaku had the Ushi no Mi model giraffe, but was known as the Kirin Ningen. And so Kirin is the way you say giraffe in Japanese. And so because of that, that's really interesting, because then it's like, giraffes. Like, giraffes get a weird place in the story. Yeah, it's like a leopard is, like, one of those apex predators that's like, yeah, an assassin character getting a leopard makes sense. Also, leopards are one of the cats that do get put in mythologies a lot more than other cats. You do get lions and other stuff, but leopards, interesting place. But giraffes are an interesting spot to be in. They are mythologies, but also it's like one of those animals that's, like, odd. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a unicorn, but, like, the Kirin is an interesting, like, association, because Kirin's always been in fiction plenty of times, but, like, the giraffe take is interesting, and there's other setup for it as well. The importance, like, even Stussy milking the juicing a giraffe. Like, why was that important? Why was that weirdly foreshadowing her to like biting Kaku later? Like, what does that mean? What does that mean for this guy? Is it relevant? Like, I don't know, but he's associating with the giraffe. Surely there's something there. But like you said, also, we don't know if this is a devil fruit. It could be. It doesn't feel like it should be because of the trend with the Celestial Dragons, where they don't have devil fruits.
Yeah.
But maybe the Kirin is an exception because we had talked about it, but like long neck, giraffe, maybe this is a way, Oda's another way towards dragons. Like giraffes could be seen as dragons because of the long neck and whatever. So maybe there's just tied to celestial dragons or celestialness with giraffes. And the other thing that I didn't point out, yes, he's awakened, but he also has a white Hagoromo scarf,
like Luffy,
which Luffy's the only, well, besides Yamato, Luffy's the only one, and all the other, even Gorosei, had black ones. So like, we don't know why. People in the comments were like, oh, it's because he's like, it's interesting because all the other ones are evil, and then here's this guy, so maybe he's a good guy. Like, it's an interesting thing because like he's literally wearing it on his sleeve, that he's like, the Gorosei is like, hey, why isn't yours black like ours? You must be not tainted. Like I don't know what that means per se, but it is interesting that Oda did that.
Yeah, it could be like a reflection of the mind.
Yeah,
that could also be it.
I feel like even his appearance, at least in the introduction, but just he has a very,
it's very Gear 50, right? Cartoony with his eyes.
Cartoony, but also kind of like chill. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
like you said, he fell asleep mid-conversation, but the way Oda draws, like the eyes are just circular, like the way, like Oda does that in Gear 5 actually, but also just like it gives you an innocent kind of like connotation of just like there's not really, it's not
could be tied to like imagination.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's open-minded, like that kind of thing, right?
So yeah, we got a couple of cool things with these guys, man. I love it. And you know, when it comes to this as well, like, so Kirin exists in Japanese mythology. It's kind of like a yokai there as well, but it did originate in China as the Qilin with a Q, or Kirin. I don't know. QK is kind of similar. But yeah, like this is another example of Oda giving the Celestial Dragons, again, a wide array of transformations, right? We have the Cerberus from Greek mythology. We have this from Chinese. Warkuri was also from Chinese mythology. And then we have Jupiter from Western mythology. It's like Oda's definitely dipping his toes in pretty much any cool mythological creatures he can find, which again, I think we'll see a vampire, man. I think we'll see like some, crazy, Bigfoot werewolf thing later. And the thing is too,
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
On the vampire and all that stuff, but I will say the Chinese, Japanese, like, not that I want to like be a culture like gatekeeping whatever, but like or like denouncing or whatever, but a lot of the Chinese mythologies made it over to Japan, and a lot of Japanese, it's kind of like the Roman Greek situation a little bit, where a lot of the things got renamed just and recontextualized. So some things that existed in the Chinese mythology became like the 7 wise kings or gods or whatever.
I completely agree. That's why I said like it originated in China, but the Japanese also have their own equivalent. So yeah, like either way, it did originate in China, is what I'm trying to say. So
that's why I don't disagree with you. It's just that people will be like, in the same vein of like, oh, Oda only knows English, but like also like, oh, why would he choose from the Japanese mythology? So it's like instead it's this other random mythology, and it's like, I don't think we should like. That's not how it. Chinese stuff is actually
it doesn't matter.
The Japanese stuff. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, we also have the Cerberus and Jupiter as like a prime example that it's not just Japanese anyways. So that's why I say it's Chinese. I think it's good to draw that line. But besides that though, like with both of these guys' introduction, they both have the title of Saint, which is something that Gunko did not get, right? Just Gunko had 2 introduction boxes. Gunko did not get Saint in either one of them. So I think that brings that back into question. Also, like we get what house they're from, right? House Shepherd, House Limosive. Even with Shamrock, people are saying Shamrock doesn't have the same title, and he didn't get one overtly, but it also said like son of Saint Garling. So like at least it's there somewhere. Like you can kind of just say, oh yeah, since he's like the son of a saint, maybe he's a saint too. Either way, like we even got like the family name for him there too. We already knew he was a Figarland, but it's just reiterated. So the fact that Gunko didn't get any of that treatment, I think again is kind of showing that she is different from the pack, right? And not like, and plus she has the one paramecia among all these monsters. So I do wonder, like, how did Gunko get here? Was she bred for war? Was she bred to be a celestial dragon? Is it maybe like a Mother Carmel situation where she was, born and raised for all of this? Or was it like a political thing, like kind of like Loki, right? Where they're like, hey, Loki, we want your help to, subjugate Elbaf, or we want your title or authority, so join us. Maybe Gunko's the same way. Still a lot of questions here. And also, Gunko seems to be kind of crushing on, at least that's how I saw it, like crushing on Sommers. Over here blushing. She actually is turned around until the very end, which is kind of funny. Like even while he's like putting on his pants, she's still like turned around, like, not looking at him.
Yeah,
so, it's kind of funny seeing this side of Gunko because, beforehand she's very brash, and even at the end of the chapter she's very brash as well. Like I think Sandman said that, she, not just her, but like Shamrock and all of them, they speak in a very rude manner. But over here she's like acting really innocent.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I love what Oda did with the Holy Knights in this thing.
They're a lot of fun.
It's like the worries about the Holy Knights being a throwaway group or like a last minute addition kind of like completely negated by this chapter, in my opinion, where it's like when we first got the Holy Knights, we see, Shank's shadow aside, it's like another Toby Ropo, another Scabbards. Just a random group we didn't know about. Like the vice captains in the Revs. Like this tier doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, I think
the vice captains in the Revs, bro. Those guys.
Yeah, like you. I don't know if you can convince me because on the Revs part, because one way or the other, the way I see it is one of those tiers are getting neglected. If Oda chooses to focus on the vice captains because it's more interesting for the story, then he's going to neglect the captains and he's just going to have them as random characters. Whereas I care more about the captains, and so I'd like to see them. And then we'd ignore the vice captains. And there's a world where Oda does both and focuses on both, but that's just not how it's gone historically. And prior, it's like, are we worried about the Holy Knights? Not anymore. Absolutely not. Because these designs are all so intricate. Then from the name to their appearance to how they, not just their appearance, how they come to appear. Like even, we didn't even see them yet. And we get personality. Like, one's like, yo, can I come later? And the other one's like, what now? Hello? Like, it's just, you get personality, you get the appearance, you get introduction, you get a style, clothing even, powers. Oh my God. Like from Arrow to Cerberus sword to now Kirin. I don't know if you can draw, like, besides the Kirin and Cerberus being both mythical creatures, but one's in a sword and one's showed up in a hybrid thing, and his suit is like tailored to that. There's just like no like line, and even name wise, I mean, I haven't looked into it. Maybe some genius, all the geniuses on Twitter, they probably already have all of it figured out. But I'm pretty slow on this. So for me, like the Toby Ropo, right? You said like they're all card names or whatever. I don't see that yet. So even and that's not a bad thing to say. Like, oh, like Oda chose like a group, named them all a group. But what I'm saying is like, it seems like this group is all so individually important that Oda put the time and effort on each one of them to individualize them, almost on the same tier as like the Supernova.
Yeah.
Like how they're so distinct. They all, they're named after pirates, sure. But like you look at them and they're like, some of these characters don't even look like they're from the same series. Like, they're drawn in the same style, but like Beige and Bonnie in the same series as Blackbeard, or I guess, Kid, Killer, like they all look so, even Kid and Killer, they look crazy together, but they are, so that's exciting. Actually a question. I think we got it. Yeah. I think someone sent it to me. Loki's hair officially is. Do you think Summer's hair is actually white?
It could be. I lean towards blonde just because Jupiter is blonde. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like we could get like the wackiest colors, right? Like people thought Katakuri had black hair and then it was like pink.
The Gorsei's official colors are wild comparative to like what we had in our minds.
I think Saturn is black, like purple, white. And then Itsumari's like green. Like, you know, like Oda's having fun with the colors, and I think these guys will also be really colorful too. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Qilingham, for example, is rainbow colored.
Rainbow? Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I could think be like rainbow that. Would be sick. Like iridescent. Like, you know what I mean? Like a pearly, like maybe even white with a... Oh, that would be sick. All the Holy Knights have like a white, like with a tinge of, you know, other on it. That'd be kind of sick too.
Ooh, yeah. They all have like some kind of similarity when it comes to their colors.
Yeah, like maybe like they're like, you know, his hair is white, but it has the iridescent. Kieran's white with the thing, and like maybe the Cerberus and Gunko's arrow white with it, because that would be sick if the Cerberus.
Yeah, they follow like, a theme.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I like that a lot.
Ooh, yeah. And I'm actually looking. The random background that my computer chose today is like this fish that has like iridescent scale that kind of has like a purple blue tinge on it. So that would be sick, actually. Huh.
What I really like as well is that when the Holy Knights get summoned and you see their introduction, you see like the flame that's like bordering the bottom of the panel. It reminds me of the flames that border like the mural, for example. The mural. Yeah. I was like,
that is interesting.
Shout outs to Magic and Celestial Dragons, man. Shout outs. And like you said, they have a lot of personality because the minute they find out that they're an Elbaf, they just say, "What? We're an Elbaf? Like, oh, we're here?" Which, you know, it kind of shows that when they're teleported, they don't really have to want to come necessarily. Like, they could just get yanked. It's not like a thing where, like, you know, you get called, you have to accept it, and then you hop over. No. You just hop over. Like, Gunko really just pulled these guys out, which is kind of fun. Because that means, like, at any point, right? Imagine this. At any point, if the Straw Hats ever start winning on this island, they could easily summon the rest of the Holy Knights. Like, you got to keep that in mind. Like, she summoned 2 right here, nonchalantly. If they wanted to, they could yank in the other 5. Maybe, I mean, I don't think it extends to the Gorsei because it's like a different like subset, but like maybe they could bring in the Gorsei. You know, if Shamrock, we don't really, well, we'll talk about this here in a second, but they talked about him leaving. He's still here, but if Shamrock leaves and if something happens, they could just bring Shamrock back. Like the teleporting circle is pretty insane.
Yeah, I actually like, as far as them getting yoinked, it's funny, but it makes sense, right? Like, reasonably, you wouldn't get like a notification like on a phone, like a phone call, right?
Yeah.
This is how it would be with teleportation. The question is more like, what is the function of how it works? And we did get some clue, which was that mark, which whether it's a tattoo, whether it's a band, whether it's a symbol that's just like, you know, inside their brain from Emu or something like that. We don't know yet, but that part is also cool. Also, the name, because they're saying it's pentagram, but it's said in a way that is like it means abyss. So even that's really cool too.
Yeah,
like, you know, contextualizing with a lot of stuff.
It's called abyss, but you break it down and it means pentagram. And then it's also called Gobusei. Which is it's like there's so many layers to that name alone, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's going to be important actually too. Like the name, that word, the fact that Oda put even their powers. Oda's putting like effort into naming like that ability. You like, I don't even know. Like, you just called a teleportation a summoning circle, something simple, but like no, he's using wordplay here on that. Something so simple. In another series, it's just poof, one place to another. That's it. It's just a transportation, you know? But there's meaning to the name and everything behind it. So Wonder what that's gonna do for later down the line, or maybe some things that we've heard of before. Maybe it means something for that.
Oh yeah. So we see that now that they've summoned, there's 2 of them, right? Shamrock's like, why is there 2, you guys? I only need 1. And that is when St. Killingham says, it's because you are supposed to go home, Captain. Like, they need you. Like, it's an order from above. We don't know if it's, like, from the dad, from the Gorosei, Emu. Still unclear about that. You know, they're very ambiguous. Just order from above. It's like when Doflamingo was killing Moria. And then Moria was like, wait, who told you to do this? Send Goku? And then he's like, nope. And he just points up, and he says, higher. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, the thing is that, like, you know, Gecko Moria shouldn't know who's doing it. Because he shouldn't know about, like, the Celestials and all of them. But for Shamrock, it's like, no, you could just say it, man. We're all celestial dragons here. But it is what it is. Apparently, like, everything's going downhill after the Reverie, and that Shamrock needs to go back. We don't really know why they need Shamrock. Maybe it's for protection. Maybe it's to deal with a different problem. But, you know, speaking of these problems, I skipped over this during St. Summer's appearance, but he asked a really good question. A question that I think we've been talking about a lot. But what the hell is going on with the food situation, right? Like, remember when Dragon was like, yeah, like, one of the main missions is to destroy the Celestial Dragon's food supply. And it's like, okay, they did it, but the Gorosei or the God Knights haven't mobilized to our knowledge. And then we saw them, like, destroying Bondolas, and it's like, okay, but where's the God Knights? And then even St. Summers is like, hey, what are we doing about this? Like, so, you know, and he's a God Knight, so he hasn't mobilized. Like, maybe the other 5 have, and we just haven't seen them yet. Maybe he hasn't talked to them. But I just love that they're finally touching on that again.
I like it, but also, if I were to give one demerit for the Holy Knights in this chapter, it would be the reference to the Holy... Because they almost sound like they're also victims of the starvation, too. They're like, damn, like, this shit's dire, Shamrock, bro. Like, yeah, check that out. You gotta go home. Which also... it makes it sound like Shamrock has no idea of that entire aspect, right? Like, what did he say exactly? It'd be best for you to hurry back there, Shamrock. Like, saying that, like, where was Shamrock before this?
I think
he has
there.
No knowledge of. Do you think he was there? He's like, I suppose the situation in the Holy Land has gone dire recently. Everything started to spiral downhill after the Reverie started, and it's like. But he was there, right? He was there in 908 for, you know, to assume that. But after that, like he would, it'd be best for you to hurry back there, right? It says hurry back there. But it almost sounds like he was somewhere else right after the Emu thing. Because it's like you would kind of know. But also, hurry back there is interesting because, like, we know that Shamrock's was there at 908, and 908 was while the Revs were ransacking Marijois. Like, it was concurrent, like, right when Shamrock went in that room, the Revs had already started, right?
No,
it wasn't that.
I don't think so.
It had begun. I thought that was like day 4 or whatever.
I mean, I don't remember the timeline exactly. I have to go back and refresh, but I don't think it was the concurrent. I mean, it was during the same Reverie, of course, but, like, I don't think it was the same time.
A 7-day Reverie. I'm pretty sure that one was, like, day 3 or day 4. And the marking would be Big News Morgans. We talked about the timeline, how funky it was that Big News Morgans was there at the start, left, and then came back to pick up Sabo. Or not Sabo, Vivi.
And here's the thing, too. Like, even if it was the same day, like, it doesn't mean that it was, like, concurrent. Like, while Shamrock was talking to them, that was all happening.
Right. But the point is, concurrent or not, he was there, right? Like, he's
he was there
to, like, and so also similarly, like, the Holy Knights, as far as, like, the Bondolas and all that stuff, like, that's where it is confusing because I don't know if I could be convinced that, like, especially seeing these teleportation circles, it's like they can't just show up, immediately assess, like, what's happening and figure it out. And solve at least the Bondolas, but then also you're telling me that what 6 ships the Revs have, like, at certain points, like the Holy Knights can't, like, they just summon them like popcorn on here. They're like, boop, just 2 random ones. Oh, Shamrock, you go back. And they're doing substitutions in an arc. I don't even know. We haven't even done substitutions in arcs like that. You know what I mean? Imagine Crocodile was like, "Oh, Mr. 3, come back. I'm putting Mr. 6 on Little Garden because later on Elbaf is gonna be Mr. 3 victims, or no, I'm gonna put Mr. 1 there so it looks less bad for them, right? I'm gonna take Shamrock out so that Shamrock doesn't look bad here. Like whatever joke you want to have here. The point is that like the Holy Knights being here, summon here so quickly, and then they're also get orders from above to do that, I guess, late in the game also. Because at least from the Reverie to now, it's been how long? It's been a decent while since Reverie to now. So let's say that the order is to take care of the Revs, what the blockade and the food situation. It's been weak. Like the Sus Dragons have been they've been complaining to Akainu. Even when Kuma showed up, like, wow, we don't even have food. Like all
for me, I think Shamrock was there during the food situation when it got destroyed, but I think maybe he wasn't there during the Bondola explosion. Maybe the Celestial Dragons, it's no big deal. Like, and then the Bondolas is why like Shamrock has to go back.
No, but remember the Bondola situation. At that point, it was already dire. They were complaining, and they were like, "Did they kill the ship?"
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, like there's like levels to like how dire the situation is. Like maybe it was like DEFCON 1, and then now like it's DEFCON 4.
Yeah, but DEFCON 4. Let's say that's Shamrock, right?
Yeah.
DEFCON 1 was what? Like because they haven't. Like
the food's going out.
Succeed. Right, no, but what was their response at DEFCON 1? Was their DEFCON 1
deploy
just
the Bondolas and
because
ask for other kingdoms to provide food? Because that's what they did, right? They asked for food from other kingdoms. They were bringing it over.
Did they?
And then that's when the Bondolas exploded. It was food from other kingdoms that exploded on the Bondolas.
Yeah, but the Bondolas exploding in and of itself, like that was so comical of a thing that Lafitte was sitting there laughing.
Oh yeah,
Lafitte was just like, bro,
I mean,
this
I know.
Funny.
Like I'm just saying, like that's the like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like Shamrock is over there. Like that's just I feel like like it's goofy, but I feel like that's the normal way things go, right? Like something happens, you have a solution.
I don't really agree.
Something happens.
I like Akainu, for example, being the guard at Merdra. That doesn't make sense to me, right? Like when the Holy Knights exist. Like I can't be convinced that Kuma runs through Akainu, all this stuff. Like legendary Iron Giant, is there, and it's just they're vacant, right? And seemingly they are getting orders to deal with it. Because remember, at the start, it's like, oh, maybe they're just Emu's guards. Well, that was thrown out way now because it's like, well, he's getting orders to deal with this, so it's not just Emu's guards now. It's just that they're just so lackadaisical about these problems that they just don't care about the thing.
Oh no,
and
I
that's
agree.
A weird place to be in. That's a super weird place to be.
Like we need to know where like they are half the time.
And they have the most cracked transportation ability, period. And you can't convince me that they wouldn't have transportation at the Red Port. You know what I mean? That's literally the front door. You know what I mean? Like that at the Bondolas at the top and bottom. Like not having a magic circle there for millennia just doesn't make any sense, period. Especially if we're talking about the fact that like if Saturn was able to do it via just proximity to Egghead and just go that's the same thing to me. Red Port to there, that's their front door. That'd be wild to me if they couldn't have like a transportation set up to like even then, like how about just have the Holy Knights just transport the food? Clearly you could just have the like Gunko just pulled them without just have a Holy Knight there. Just bring up the food. No Bondolas, not needed. Doesn't seem effortful, right? So that's where it's like the levels to why it's a problem is so weird. Like even if you didn't want to back up to how the Revs, like surely the Revs don't even have like a defense force on each one of the blockades that is able to deter a Holy Knight. You send one Holy Knight to
they're done.
Each region, it's over, gone. It shouldn't, like, you know what I mean? The fact that they had to rely on world allied nations, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, it's that dire straight. You need to ask for help. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal as far as the story goes, but it is a big of a deal for how the Holy Knights like operate. Which we do see an interesting part where we don't get it yet, but I think most people come to the conclusion is that Shamrock's isn't leaving.
I don't think he's leaving. Yeah.
Like, oh, so he gets an order from above, and this would be him disobeying the order.
I don't think so.
So you don't think so?
No, I don't think Shamrock is disobeying the order, actually.
Okay.
So at first I was like, well, I've never been on the mindset that he's disobeying. I think he is hurrying home, but he's still going to fulfill his mission here. But he's so with Shamrock, right? Like they teleported Killingham and Sommers over to Elbath in the blink of an eye. I don't think that Shamrock can be teleported back to Murray in the same manner. I think he's going to go back via ship. I think he's going to have to travel there via ship, whatever ship they came here on. Because we saw them boop into the castle, right? They booped immediately into the castle. We don't know if that's because they already linked here, so they simply went from Murray to Elbath in a matter of seconds, or if Shamrock was off the coast. I think that Shamrock might have been off the coast. I think he has a ship, and that's the same ship they're going to put the kids in, maybe. And he's going to have to sail back, kind of like how Saturn, for example, is going to sail back to Murray after Egghead. I mean, of course, Saturn was going to teleport or transport multiple things with him, but I think that Shamrock and Gunko, since they came here physically, they're going to have to go back physically. Whereas saying Killingham and Sommers, the minute they're done, they could just undo the circle and they're back home. Kind of like the rest of the Gorse and how they immediately went back home. I think there might be some stipulations to that. But I mean, I know you disagree with some of the things with the circle. And I mean, that's fair because I think the circle is still very ambiguous. But
it's not just a circle. It's more they even, the problem here was the kids, right? They imply that they could just go back without the ship. And I don't think that a ship would be that important, that even if it was true that Shamrock and Gunko arrived here via ship, then teleported, I don't think that would be a reason. I think that he is able to go back instantly. They told him to head back, and I don't think that let's say that Shamrock's delays and goes back later because he wants to play this game because he's disobeying. I think that him going back would be instant. I don't see, even if he has a ship, I feel like if he had orders, they'd be like, yeah, just leave the ship.
Or maybe they need somebody to pull Shamrock out. Maybe here in a little bit, after the game starts, Emu pulls Shamrock. That could be it too. I think there's a lot of ways this is going to go down. I feel like we don't really know enough about the Abyss Circle yet, or how this is going to work. But also with the ship too, they need the ship to transport the kids, right? Because the kids don't have the mark. And we don't know if they could give the mark either.
I think the ship part is less important to me because at the end they could just steal a ship, and that was probably always a part of the plan. Yeah. It'd be much easier to bring not bring a giant ship that can hold a bunch of giant kids hostages and just steal one of their ships that can easily hold one of them. And then we don't have to two-man or bring a crew, which is what Saturn essentially needed to bring a crew, needed people to he needed Kizaru to poison test things. It's just all around easier. Go there, get Loki. If he doesn't go, we're stealing a ship. You guys sail us. Cool. But the one thing that I do think supports the complexity of Shamrock's getting back is the fact that they didn't just pull him out, because we just saw that you can just yoink whatever person out of their situation. Two people go in, you could just, all right, they're there, Shamrock, you're out. You don't need whistle, ref, I'm substituting a player. You don't need to wait for the ref to do that. No, you just pull him out. So the fact that there isn't that happening either means that whatever situation he's going into isn't that dire. They just need him to be there to command something or access something or complete something. And it's not that it's not time sensitive, but more so that Shamrock's has jurisdiction. I think that that's the main thing that I'm this game thing, delay thing, it's not that crazy because they could just pull him out if they really needed it to happen. Or let's say it's Garling who's doing it, right? He could 100%, if it was Garling who ordered it, why wouldn't he just telepathically talk to his son? You know what I mean? Hey, Shamrock, you know what I mean? So there's reasons why the delay could, Shamrock's is okay, if I didn't know about these orders, so it's not from my dad. All right, we're cool. And the other people don't have like authority to command me as the commander or whatever. So whatever this is, whatever. I'll play a game, whatever, it's fine. And I could teleport whenever instantly. It doesn't matter. I kind of look at it that way. But I do find it interesting in the scope of the Saturn situation, where Saturn had many disobeying moments that could be like tried in court and be like, what did you mean by allowing all this shenanigans to happen, huh Saturn? And he was insta-killed, right? So now I look at any moment when there's like a possible disobedient moment, and we don't know where Emu's like line draws of insta-kill. You know what I mean? The moment you allow Joy Boy to breathe, and if your actions allow that to go further, and if it's seen as was insubordination, does Emu just pull the plug? Can they just pull the plug on any of these guys? I don't know. But that's why it's like, this one could be like a possible stick in the road. I don't think that Shamrock's obviously wouldn't be insta-killed like Shanks though. But it does make you wonder when it comes to the teleportation thing. We saw with the Saturn thing. The other Gorosei did not know that Saturn just got insta-killed. Saturn just got insta-killed. There was no dialogue, no communication. It was just boom, gone. And then the same thing with teleportation. Boom, gone. And that's Gunko, not Saint. Not a Saint was able to just insta-teleport 2 Holy Knights with no consent, no warning, nothing. It makes you wonder about like those other situations. What happens? And who has the control? Is it mark based? Was Saturn blown away because he had that mark? Is it the mark that is able to do all this stuff? And then how does that work in the sense of I talked about this before, that like in the ancient kingdom there's probably a higher level of the hierarchy chip, and it's likely that this mark could be that, and it's likely that maybe Gunko has the authority to do certain things. And maybe the Gorosei have the authority to command lower level marks. Maybe you need like a 1, 2, 3, or an unnumbered mark, something like that. Maybe the mark that we see on the ground is the mark that they have on them, and so the Gorosei have numbered marks. And that could be that Emu has the highest authority out of all of them. It could be something like that too. So, but yeah, that's why I was asking about the insubordination thing, because now it's like any Gorosei, any Holy Knight, no one's safe. Not even Saturn. So, yeah. And I mean, Saturn's was egregious, but we don't know.
Yeah, Saturn's was really egregious. Overall, though, like we don't really know what's going on or how it's going to go down. I feel like there's too many possibilities to really like nail it. But yeah, overall, I think they could have just brought in like another body to speed up this whole mission as well, right? Because it's like, hey, like you're meant to go home, Captain, so you got to hurry up. So that's why they added one more person onto the mission. Or it could be like, oh, like they're supposed to be a substitute for Shamrock. We're just not too sure. So while
how
probable, what percentage do you think that Shamrock's is leaving?
Shamrock's leaving? I mean, honestly, I think it's 50-50.
You think it's 50-50? It's
yeah.
Interesting. I feel like a lot of people would be like, nah, he's not leaving,
I feel like a lot of people think he is leaving.
Oh, really?
Yeah. From what I've seen, a lot of people believe that he is leaving. But, I mean, just the vibe he gives off the end of the chapter, I think there's a good chance where he stays. But, yeah, I mean, I haven't held a poll on that yet. But, so, Sommers kind of asked for, a briefing about why they're here, what their mission is. And that is when he brings up a suggestion, like, were you visiting King Harold's grave? Which, obviously, that throws the King Harold thing back into context, right? Like, hey, King Harold might have been working with the God Knights, which, I mean, I guess that's pretty much confirmed, right? He was, to some extent. And then even, like, visiting a grave, like, you'd have to be kind of friendly with them, or at least know of them in a respectable manner to visit a grave. Like, think about Zoro visiting Ryuma's grave, right? Which never happened. Like people visiting Whitebeard and Ace's grave. I'm trying to think of another grave, like Brooke making a grave for the Rumbar Pirates. They buried Pedro.
Yamato's cover story.
Yeah, there's like a lot of graves, and typically you only visit it because you're friendly with them. So do you think this confirms that King Harold might have been a bad guy? People were saying he was also being played by the world government, which I feel like if he was getting played, you wouldn't visit that grave though. But How do you feel about King Harold right now?
Yeah, I think that the notion, like, again, even from when the tower fell down, I was like, bro, there's some funny business going on here. Um, and so I think that line is significant. Now, after sitting with it, I'm like, it could mean that, yeah, they were friendly enough that they would go whatever. But then I'm like, even like, would would the Holy Knights and Celestial Dragons be like seriously? Would they really care about like a non-celestial dragon? Like, he's not a celestial.
Maybe
Loki,
it's a
they were
hidden
offering
one.
whatever, right? And but obviously with the story, there's not, and so it's like, would they even care? Like, even if they were working together in cahoots, they planned to subjugate the giants together, blah blah blah. Would they really care to go to his grave? And I was like, what if, like, the other way you could maybe read it is that Sommers is saying it as a joke, but more so because they were the reasons King Harold died. Like, they're like, oh,
I
what
like
are you
that.
doing? Visiting his grave, like, because we're the ones who did it. And like, that fits a
That's
lot
a
of
good
the
idea.
narrative that we had talked about. Where it wasn't Loki. Loki was wrongfully charged. And it could also play a role as well as with Harold, where Harold still could be working with them, but it's not that they're friendly. It's not that they're particularly because they're working together. It's because they plan to kill him. And they plan to kill his
I like
ass.
that idea a
And
lot. Just
Loki
like making
was,
fun of him.
yeah. And that kind of, to me, fits more of the profile of how, like you were saying, like, I didn't even know this. I didn't know that they spoke so rudely. But you kind of get um like I was saying this in the stream, where it's like they are acting very normal in the perspective of like how I would think that they would go. Like, the Celestial Dragons, they're kind of straight. Not the Holy Knights, just objective oriented. They're focused. They, Gunko throws out some condescending lines here and there. Stank
Yeah.
saying all these crazy things is probably the more wild stuff. But also, like, the jokes that they're having, right? That's a crazy joke, right? Like, we killed his ass. But, and I like, does it, I feel like CP9, I feel like they might have had stuff too along those lines. Maybe Spandam, like, just in, like, maybe to Robin and maybe to Frankie. Oh yeah, I think maybe that was what it was Spandam, Frankie, when they were in the Tower of Justice, and Spandam was like making fun of Tom, like a joke, whatever. Like, it felt like that, and I was like, I'm thinking maybe he's saying it because he was making fun of them. Like, what are you guys doing back here? Like, you guys are, like, cheering on your accolades, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you guys killed
Yeah.
them or something like that, and so, revisiting your past achievements. Are you? So,
I would like
which
that. I
doesn't
mean,
change
yeah.
our
I was going to say, I
perspective.
would like that a lot. I think that makes sense. I think the one thing that really would have sold this notion more is if we saw St. Somers' face when he says it. Like, imagine we see St. Somers and he's like smirking or laughing, right? Then I'd be like, oh, like, this is a really good, like, yeah, I'd be right there too. But since we just got the dialogue box, it sounds more serious. But we don't know. I think that's a good theory in general. And we go on to that last page, and now that they're briefed, we see them standing above the Walrus Academy, and they're like, yeah, we just gotta nab these kids, put them on a boat, and send them to Marie Choi, which is crazy, right? Like, at first I thought they were just gonna hold them here, but I guess it makes a lot more sense if you hold them at the Holy Land. Like, hey, you're not gonna get the kids back until you work for us for like X amount of years. Kind of like what they did with Oimo and Kashi, where they said, hey, we'll release Dorian Broggy once you work for us for like 100 years. And of course, they never got to see Dorian Broggy. They thought that Dorian Broggy were in Impel Down. So yeah, it makes sense to like take the kids, get them away from here, because if you hold them on the island, I mean, first up, you're gonna have to have somebody babysit them. But second up, like, you're gonna, they could easily be broken out. So I like the idea of taking these kids to the Holy Land, and I think it also gives us a reason to go there as well. Like, maybe they are successful, right? Maybe they kidnap all these kids and then they get brought back. Now we have to go there. We have to go all the way up the red line, and that is a stop that was not in our bucket list, right? At no point did the Straw Hats ever say, let's go there. It's literally just Lodestar, maybe, and then Laughtail. That's it. So now we might actually have to go there and fight all these dudes, fight Emu, and there is a chance there's a poneglyph there too, because my last point on this is that they say they have to put him on a ship. So you are of the mindset that they could steal a ship or they have a ship. I'm personally of the mindset that they already have a ship ready to go. Like possibly the ship that Gunko and Shamrock arrived on and then teleported to, or teleported off of. But maybe that ship is also black. Maybe it's the man marked by flames and it's Shamrock, which I think would be kind of crazy. But yeah, go off.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that like having the kids hostage at this Lesser Dragon's place would make Punk Hazard be like a parallel / pre-setup that Oda wanted to like test, run. Not a lot of people liked Punk Hazard in totality, but there were a lot of good elements in there. And I do think that like a lot of what the kid situation there was interesting because they put Momo inside, but then there was the I made a video like Mocha and Big Mom felt kind of interestingly similar. Like just kids being taken advantage of is something that's a common thing. But then also like think about the Tentatas. The Tentatas are kid-like in nature, and they were also similarly like enslaved in a way, right? So having these kids at Meridra and then being studied and tested, boom, you can have like Figarland probably trying to do experiments, drug them, whatever. And then you give like a Punk Hazard 2.0 in the sense that like Chopper has to fix them. Maybe this time he actually does.
Yeah.
Or like he did in the Mocha's. No. That one was a Vegapunk solution as well. Chopper gave like a soft solution. Vegapunk gave the hard solution of reversing the gigantification, right? That's what the play was. So maybe that's when Chopper pulls out the full, like, no more waiting on mad scientists to save my ass here. I'm going to do this. And it's at Meridra, and it's perfect. And yeah, like you said, at the moment, we don't have a hard set reason to go directly to Meridra. And technically, we lost a reason because Zoro kind of diffused it. They're like, oh, we got to go save Sabo. We got to go find Vivi and all that stuff. And that would have set us towards Meridra, but then Zoro's like, hey, yo, that's not our trip now. The kids thing, that would change stuff. That definitely would change things. Nami as a navigator be like, plot point is that Scopper is the most invested in these kids. So that's a huge wrench because I don't see a world where like Scopper and Luffy and them don't like work. Like, does like Scopper like solo dolo run to Meridra to save him, like, and then loses? Is that what happens? Like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Maybe Scopper saves his son, but the other kids get kidnapped.
Yeah,
but also,
that'd be possible, right?
Thinking about this too, like a lot of people, I believe this as well. I believe that Vivi is coming to Elbaf, right? Like, where would Vivi go? I think Elbaf has always been a really solid option, unless they go somewhere else and it's like surprising, right? Oda does that. But if they do come to Elbaf, I think that'd be perfect because we would have to climb the red line. And obviously you need passage to go up there. They have to use the Bonolas and drag your ship up. But since the Straw Hats obviously won't get permission to do that, and since we're not going to climb the entire red line with all the Straw Hats, maybe we'll use Big News Morgan's ship. Maybe Big News Morgans and Vivi provide a solid pathway to get to Meridra. And Big News Morgans, I mean, we barely know him, but we know that he loves Big Scoops, he loves chaos, so he would definitely take the Straw Hats there. Like, that would be a fun little adventure.
Maybe the Straw Hats split up.
Yeah, or maybe we split up.
If that's the case,
or
because
Sunstone.
Then I think that Frankie would use Sunstone. That's true.
Yeah, Sunstone, Cloud Tech. Yeah, we could also just fly the Thousand Sunny up there, but, since we don't know if that's going to happen yet, I think the Big News Morgan ship is like the most solid option until we get like obviously the Flying Sunny. Then I think Morgan's is pretty good. But either way, the Flying Sunny's cool. Yeah. But they're the Rising Sunny maybe Rising Sun, Rising Sunny, and then that's like a play on Japan's flag.
I like that.
The land of the because Japan's the land of the rising sun.
Yeah, and then they put the Sunny in red face.
Ooh, yeah. Could be it. Maybe they name it the Sunny Maru.
Yeah. Ooh.
Because they put that's like a thing they do. They add the Maru to the end of ship names. Go Maru Sunny. Sunny Go? Sunny Go Maru. Sunny Go Maru. Yeah, that would be it. But yeah, like I think the Marie's Raw plotline is pretty cool. But of course, if that happens, that means that the Straw Hats will lose the kids here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, we also have to keep in mind.
A W.
Yeah, I think the world government will get a W, and we have to keep in mind like who is here right now. Like, yes, the Straw Hats are on the island, but only Robin, Chopper, and Frankie are nearby the kids. Like, the other Straw Hats are going to have to play catch-up. When it comes to Luffy, Zoro, and Nami and Road, they are going to go down to Loki. They have the key. They talk about at the beginning of the chapter. Hey, give us the key so we can free Loki and go back to the banquet. So they have, like, an order of events they're going through. They don't know these guys are here. These guys are still in incognito mode. The only people that know that the Holy Knights are here are Scopper. So, yeah, like, if Scopper's the only person defending them, if Scopper, Robin, Chopper, and Frankie are here, I don't think that we're pulling out the W. I think we'll be able to protect some kids, maybe Colin, maybe Ripley, but I don't think we can protect all of them. I think that's out of their capabilities, especially if Shamrock stays.
I'd actually like it if Colin saved himself. Not, like, perfectly.
Oh, to show that, like,
because he couldn't...
To show that the other kids should have been training the entire time, because the kids were like, oh, Colin, you're violent.
Yeah. Like, he has defensive awareness. Where, like, yeah, he can't beat them, but, like, they are thinking that they're just gonna pick kids up like they're candy, right? And they're making a game out of it. Colin's the only one who's, like, thorned, And so that'd be kind of cool if Colin saved himself. Or, like, Ripley was... He put himself in a situation where Ripley had to, like, save him. That's where I'm curious, because Ripley is with Frankie.
Yes.
So... we don't know how far that is. But it didn't seem that far, right?
Yeah, I mean, they walked to the location, right? Like, for the Straw Hats, they used the Sval. But for Ripley and Frankie, they walked. So I don't think they're that far.
Yeah, so that's another interesting part where Ripley is one of the last warriors. She looks like she would be a character that would kick ass, too. So, and I don't want to miss that fight. Yeah, but for God Knights, I could see like Ripley bloodied up, Colin's safe, sure, but the other kids she couldn't save. And then you have Frankie here. Then it'd be Frankie, Ripley, Scopper, Gabon. Do you think Robin and Chopper? True. Yeah, true. Yeah, but okay.
They're not winning. I don't think they win.
Robin, Chopper. I don't think like add anything to this Holy Knight fight, right? Like, I don't know if they would be able to. Does that downplay or is that just
I just don't think they win.
Yeah. But what about you add Scopper? Or do you think Scopper's just going to show up late?
I still don't think they win.
Yeah, that's what's interesting.
I mean, like, Scopper's strong, but he's old, or he's out of his prime. Like, I feel like with Ripley, Scopper, Chopper, Frankie, and Robin versus the 4 God Knights present, I think the 4 God Knights take it.
Yeah, if I could confidently say that like Scopper equalized Shamrock, then I give him a chance. But I don't even think that. I think that Shamrock is probably like a league above Scopper as far as like winning a fight. And then maybe they have the same like ceiling, but Shamrock obviously I think would clear.
And then, of course, we don't know anything about like whether or not these guys have the same regeneration as the Gorosei. Like, if these guys regenerate, then yeah, like, they're cooked. Like, 100%. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
Like, I could see a world where, like, Frankie or Robin or Chopper pull off a W on one of the God Knights, but if they can regenerate, like, I just don't see that at all.
It's like the Terminator, but, like, specifically targeted towards children. Like,
yeah,
I will be back for your kids. Like, damn.
Yeah,
Terminator,
that's a tough one, man.
Kindergarten. Like, that'd be crazy. Oh, God.
But yeah, I mean, overall, like this whole chapter, like it's ominous for the kids, and then of course, like even Shamrock says, let's make a game out of this, right? With our combined powers, which also he says combined in ours. So that again, it makes it sound like he's gonna stay, but of course, I want to see more translations when it comes to that, because I think in a different one they said with your powers.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, we gotta wait a little bit longer for that one. But as far as the game goes, obviously God Valley comes into mind, where they were hunting rabbits and each rabbit had like a certain target value. Maybe they see the kids the same way, like, oh, like, boy 7 years old, 700 points, right?
I thought you were gonna just be boys 2 points, girls half a point. Like, so
no,
like
my God, no. But it could be. I mean, we don't know how the celestial dragons function, but it looks like they're gonna have fun, right? When you're a celestial dragon, you have everything. It's hard to get enjoyment, so maybe this is how they get their rocks off. They always like to make games.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, any final thoughts about this chapter? Anything you want to touch on before we head out of here?
No, I think we touched upon a lot, and also recontextualized a lot. And I think that's a lot of these chapters, like as obviously with the mural and all that stuff too. But even like these simpler ones, we're dealing with a lot of new components. Like Elbaf is new to us. We don't have enough of Elbaf to really know how, Elbaf compares to Vikings and Scandinavians, and like does Valhalla. Like we don't know Loki. We
still haven't seen the Heaven Realm.
We don't know Herald. We don't know Mosa. We don't know all these angles. And we're throwing in another group, Holy Knights. We just got revealed them. And we have a understanding of their foundation, but they already are breaking, not expectations, but they're creating new parameters, I guess, for like what a Celestial Dragon can look like, be like, act like, we're getting... Because Celestial Dragons aren't usually strong. Even the Gorosei naturally aren't strong. Otherwise we'd see them fighting in their human forms, right? Like besides for Garland, but they were relying on that mythical yokai whatever form, and they were relying on the regeneration. But these guys haven't used that yet, and they seem formidable, and they are pretty like organized. The game thing is one weird thing, but like again, even the game part, that's new. We didn't even really see God Valley. We don't know what the prizes really were besides devil fruits, but like we don't know where they've been, so we don't know a lot about that, which creates a lot of mystery, and we have to constantly just like challenge what we think about Loki, Ange even, right? Like that's a fun another angle. We're so new to the place that like side characters could be the final they're the keystone, like a final keystone. Like we still don't know. Is Scopper the man marked by flame? We threw in Scopper. Like that's a whole another one. We don't even know how to power scale Scopper. That's a character, like, do we have that on Egghead? We constantly wondered, like, as a third party, is Dragon finally gonna show up? Is Kuma's, Shaka, all these things gonna finally bring Dragon here? And Dragon is a character where it's like, Dragon could maybe equalize the Gorosei, but then Gorosei show up and Luffy's enough and Kizaru's there, whatever. But Scopper on his own is a character where it's like, is 4 God Knights enough? Well, I think the God Knights are that strong. Or sorry. Is 2 God Knights enough? I don't really know. Oh, but one of them looks like Shanks. Oh, but then we brought in 2 more. One of them's a mythical monster, right? Like, it's like, this is crazy to like wrap your head around. Like, what powers does this guy have? Is it a devil fruit? The Cerberus fruit. Oh, Loki is tied up and they're about to free his ass. Like, and what does Loki can take 1v all of Elbaf with the power? It's so wild. Like, Oda could literally turn the entire arc on its head, no matter which direction he goes, just by freeing up one person. And now we know that the Holy Knights, like you said, like if shit hits the fan, summon more. If they could be one and done, and all of this could be irrelevant to the rest of the arc because they're just gone already. Like they could just poof, go to the ship if they have it premeditated and just sail away. And then they're like, wait, where are the kids? Every chapter has the potential to completely derail the path. Immensely. Though I do think we're crescendoing, obviously, to a fight soon. I don't think we're not going to have a fight next chapter. So
the chapters have been pretty quick, right? Like in terms of pacing. So I think next chapter we will see a fight. Maybe Scopper shows up. Maybe Ange does something. Obviously, Robin and Chopper right nearby. Saul as well.
Yeah, even if Oda wanted to do the annoying thing of like focusing on, not, I'm not gonna say annoying as Robin and Frankie looking at the mural. That's not boring, but that's not the action. And I'm not saying the action is the only thing I'm here for, but even if he were to focus on them, they're in the hot spot right now. So Oda's lighting a fire. It's a good one. Yeah. I don't know where the fireworks are going.
Well, with that being said, though, thank you guys so much for being here again for another amazing week of One Piece. Loved it. I mean, you guys know me. I love villain organizations, man. So far, the God Knights, I think, are my favorite faction. Yeah, I think they're my favorite faction so far. I just love all their designs. I love their demeanor. I like that they're kind of quirky. And I can't wait to see the rest of them. And to see what powers they have, too, and how strong they are. Like, we know that they're strong enough to, like, whoop Loki while he's in chains. But I gotta see how strong they are, like, outside of that. Like, do they actually beat Frankie, Robin, Chopper, and Scopper? Or are they being pushed back? I'm gonna say it right here, man. If they manage to just destroy us here, I would love nothing more. But with that being said, we will catch you guys next week, because 11:41 is right around the corner. So yeah, with that being said,
see you guys then.
Peace out, guys.